Oh, shit. My can's fucked up. Oh, no. That's okay. I'll get another one. I've got this beer.
Yeah, but it's Honolulu beer.
Oh. You know what? I'm not gonna derail the podcast because of this beer. I'll come back to it.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So, who had a shitty week? Me too. What's one reason your week was shitty? Julie. Oh God, that's good. Oh, that's really good.
Which one's that one?
This is the Koalo's cream ale. I assume
thanks,
Koalo
Trish.
is the name of the octopus on the can.
I actually think it's a city.
In Hawaii?
No, I think it's the name of the octopus.
All right.
Hi, Sophie. So what's one way in which your week was shitty?
One of the ways in which my week was shitty was the constant, ever-present specter of Senator Roy Moore.
Yeah. Okay. That's a really good one. Janine, what about you?
I just moved into a new apartment, which is an old apartment, but it's my new apartment. And there's construction in the apartment next door. And this is the month where I have nothing to do and nowhere to go except be in my apartment. So it's just the constant rapping noise of hammers and saws and stuff in my apartment at the moment.
That's pretty bad.
It sucks.
It's fucking horrible.
Mine is that, God, which thing do I pick? I hurt myself last weekend, and I thought it was just that I was kind of sore. And as it turns out, like, I don't know exactly how serious it is because I can't go to the fucking doctor.
Yeah,
but I have a pair of Jen Moniz's crutches in my apartment just in case it gets really bad. But I've been wearing a knee brace since Sunday.
Oh, gosh.
So I don't know about you, but as I was going through this spiral of bullshit, and there was a lot of it. This is like just the tip of the bullshit berg. Mm-hmm. I thought to myself, well, hey, at least it's Outlander finale week. Sunday, it's going to be so fun. We're going to watch the finale of Outlander. We're going to have a great time.
Poppers.
And Julie, would you like to describe in perhaps a sound that an emotional instrument might make how we felt about this finale?
Yes. Hold on. Womp womp.
I'll try another brass instrument with emotional capacity, and I'll go. Janine.
Yeah, I got one.
Okay.
Yeah, I got one too. But I've got another one too.
Okay.
This is not an instrument, but it is a sound that denotes distress.
Okay.
Hey, that's kind of like a cross between a donkey and a foghorn. Donkey horn. It's a donkey horn.
I've got one.
Yeah.
What was that?
I was trying to do whale song.
Wait, the way you put your hands in front of your mouth, it looked like a weird walrus.
And that's a wrap on the episode. Good night, everybody.
Welcome to Outlander Drunkcast and Outlander Podcast. I'm Allison Shoemaker.
I'm Julie Starbread.
That's Janine.
Hi.
And I want you all to know, because I'm taking my delights where I can get them, that one of my favorite things about doing the show is seeing exactly how long I can wait until it's funniest for me to say, welcome to Outlander Drunkcast and Outlander Podcast. Did you know we didn't used to do that?
No,
I was
like
re-listening to old episodes. I'm just trying to come up with shit that we'd forgotten. Mm-hmm. When I was, doing one of the 97 zillion things that I have to do right now because my calendar is so full. And I was like, oh, that's new. When did we start doing that? And I haven't figured it out yet. But
you mean you because it's you and it's awesome.
Well, I mean, you did it.
I mean, take
a week I wasn't on.
Yeah, but that's because I got it from you. I got it from watching you.
Yeah. You lead by example.
Welcome to Podcast. I got to do it again. That was great. We are here talking about the finale of Outlander Season 3, which I have to say has put a slightly salty taste in our mouths. And it's not just because of the wasabi peas sent to us by listener Trish. Oh, Sophie is really... Come on, honey.
I think Sophie's upset about this episode, too.
She wasn't even watching it. She was asleep. I was jealous.
I think she's picking up on our distress.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The thing about a bad finale or a good finale, God, I just sound like the biggest asshole right now, but if I can put on my TV critic hat for a second, a good finale or a bad finale can really up or down, not necessarily the quality of a season overall, but definitely our perception of the quality of a season.
Not mine. This season has not been my favorite.
Oh, well, and that's kind of what I'm saying, but it has slightly affected my perspective in that it heightens the not great things and makes the good things easier to forget.
Right.
And next week we're going to do the awards, and as we're making our lists for the awards at the live show, by the way, if you're in Chicago, next Sunday, 11 a.m. I think it's 11 a.m.
Yeah, we start at 11.
At Empirical Brewery on Foster. It's Foster and Ravenswood. We're doing our live show. We did
December 17th?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're doing the same thing.
We're going to do it live. We're going to do it. We'll do it live. We'll just do it live.
We're going to do the same thing that we do every year or every time we do one of these and do awards that are decided by D&D Dice. Should be really fun. But as we go about making those lists, I bet we're going to find that there are lots of good things. It's going to be easy to make lists of good things.
Yes.
But for really the first time since we started talking about this show, so I guess since the show's inception, it's also going to be really easy to make lists of bad things.
Yes.
I was listening to one of those awards shows as I was re-listening, and there's a whole thing where we're talking about like the worst scene, and we picked things that were uncomfortable to watch, not scenes that were actually bad, with one exception. It was like the whipping, or when the Beach punched Claire in the stomach, and then one was like Claire and Myrta's musical theater tour, right? And then one was the feeling of darkness inside my soul, right?
Yeah.
Because of when we recorded it. So it's
by the way, that one should have won on a bullet, because that one,
we don't decide, fate decides.
It reflects strongly in now.
Well, anyway, anyway, Patty, it's going to be really easy for us to come up with weird bad shit for the first time, and I think that's really a disappointment. In hindsight, having recently reread / re-listened to the book, I am sure they had a really hard time adapting this season. And they also, I'm sure, did not get a say in how many episodes they got. That's all financial, right? Like the network orders a number of episodes. But they presumably decided to not split the book in half, which I think probably, because a lot of the shit that's really bad could have been made a lot better if it were just more fucking nuanced. And anytime, oh God, I'm already starting. Anytime we get to something that's really good, it's going to be because the acting was great. So there was lots of nuance, right? Either because the acting was so good that they decided to leave lots of room for things to happen, or because Tobias Menzies was fucking involved and he made up for a lot of it, right? And that's going to be true of David Barry. That's going to be true of Jenny from the Lallybroch, right? Like there are going to be lots of times where we're talking about something really great, and either they wanted to give the actor plenty of time, or the actor made up for lost time and made it work, despite the fact that it maybe shouldn't have. Like David Barry, right?
Ooh, I just came up with an idea for an award.
Ooh,
the Tim Gunn Award for making it work.
Oh, that's good.
That's a real good one.
But it's going to be making it work.
Making it work.
Yeah, just so...
I'm ready for that.
Work. See me how me work. You can't do
really
that fast. Work. So I just feel kind of like we need to word vomit about this one a little bit before we get into a recap.
Hold on. Outlander Season 3, Episode 13. The title of the episode is Eye of the Storm. We were shown beforehand that there would be brief nudity and strong sexual content. I have a bone to pick with that, and not that kind of bone. Anyway, now we can move on.
Weak sexual content.
Weak tea, bitch.
So hold on. I need a drink. Who needs a drink?
Oh shit, me too.
Oh shit.
Let's just
cheers.
make it official.
Yeah.
I sat on the wrong side of the table.
What
I'm too
else,
far
man?
away. Oh God.
That helps.
Right now we're drinking Empirical's Rye Cream Ale, just so everybody knows.
It's just so infuriating. I don't understand how it is that they're looking at the finale and it was like they were just checking boxes. There was no thematic through line. There wasn't really any sort of comprehensive arc, right? Like, no. And I get that they had to finish the book, but like, it just
Like twice, I had to stop it.
Building to a Claire Geillis showdown. It wasn't building to the storm.
Mm-mm.
Like there wasn't
there was
race
no
to save Ian at
there
all.
was nothing.
It was just like checking boxes.
Not
that kind of thrust.
And anytime it was good, it was because fucking David Barry's it was Tim gunning it.
It was Tim gunning
He's
it,
just
man.
totally Tim gunning it. Or like fucking Katrina Buff Mama is gunning it.
Mm-hmm.
I have to tell you that Sam really let me down this week.
Dear listeners,
Wien gunned it a couple of times.
he did. He had that one scene that was especially good. But listeners, I have to tell you that I actually had to stop this episode twice so that I could ask Allison, I'm sorry, what the fuck just happened?
That's true. We stopped twice so that she could go, I mean, did we time travel? And the thing is with that show, that's not a bad question.
Mm-hmm.
Twice we stopped for that. Once we stopped to just go back and watch that Lord John Grey scene again in its entirety.
Which we have many words to say on.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like, thank God.
Thank God for that scene. Too bad it was in the first third of the episode.
Was it? I have no sense of time.
12 minutes and 12ve seconds is the timestamp of the pure Coinface.
Yeah, but at least we got that narration twice.
And at least we spent 15 minutes on the tribal dancing, too.
Yeah, well, and at least we had the Death Bunny and the Prison Bird explain to us. Here, listeners, here's the thing. We've been making a lot of jokes here and in our little Slack channel, which we love you. Both Julie and I, in fact, you know what the best joke so far is? It's a joke we told. Here's the actual best part of the finale. When we sat down to watch this episode and I said, Julie, this is going to sound really cheesy, but we started that Drunklander Slack account as a reward to our patrons. What we didn't suspect is that would also be a reward for us. It's been really great. You guys are really making our lives better. Not an exaggeration. This week in particular, it was really great. Anyway, we've been joking a lot there and in the episodes and to each other personally and also to strangers on the street. And then sometimes I talk to my cat and I've been very lonely. We've been joking about like, man, nailed it, right? But the thing about nailing it is, yes, this is something I do. Like, I talk about and write about TV for a living. Yes, this is something I do. But if I get it the first episode and then you reinforce it in another episode,
or like 2 or 3 times,
and then you reinforce it again, and then you reinforce it again, probably in the finale of the season, you don't have to explain the thing that you've been asking us to take in and enjoy all along. Right? Like here right now, Outlander, and I'm saying this to all of you, Daphne, get into Ron Moore's office and you tell him I said this.
Mark you.
Mark me, Ronald Moore. If what you want this show to be is a big awards contender, if you want this to fucking be romance Game of Thrones or like Scottish Leftovers, like whatever the fuck, that's a bad example. Leftovers didn't win any awards because awards are bogus. If you want this to be elite television, then you can't waste a bunch of time explaining things to us that we've already taken in because we watch TV with care. Like, you've already created the show to be something that people watch attentively, right? The fandom dissect. Oh, man, I am fired up. The fandom dissects it. People go, they watch thoughtfully. It's a prestige television show and you set it up to be. So why the fuck do they have to be like, bunny, bird, bunny, bird,
bunny, bird, bunny, bird.
Upon the way. And then, Janine, you missed some shit.
What? They went that fucking level?
Here's the best part. This is when I was like, this is just a fucking insult to my intelligence.
Yeah.
There's a moment when they're running through, I don't know, the plantation somewhere. That's a really long sequence in the books and they condensed it really short and then removed every reason it actually has to exist. So now it's just straight up racist. So they're running through the woods and they stumble onto a group of maroons who are slaves who escaped into freedom and then intermingled with the indigenous people of wherever they were in whatever Caribbean island. I double checked this. That is actually what it means. This is not a Bakra situation. This is a historical thing. It's real. So they stumble onto this tribal dance in the woods, right? And it's a little troubling, But I got what they were going for right away, which is that culturally it was a lot like all of the Celtic shit that we continue to see in the credits every week. Right?
Mrs.
Like
Graham
it's
and
in
her
the
Dick
thing.
Rock dancers, remember?
That's true.
Credit Dr. J. Mrs. Graham and her Dick Rock dancers. Beautiful. Twirling lights. And and that's what it looked like. There were people, they were dancing around a fire, they had torches in their hand, the music was swelling. We were like, oh, okay, I get this.
It's a ritualistic ceremony.
And then
got
for
it.
what felt like
It was
5
long.
minutes, they cut back and forth from the dance we were watching to the fucking credits dance. From the dance we were watching to the
Mrs. Graham
credits
and her
dance.
Dick Rock dancers.
From the back again and again and again and again.
It
For
was
no
like
fucking reason.
Claire-
because we watch the fucking credits every week.
It was Claire watching it and putting it together in her own mind, just extra short to make sure that the audience understood that this is what they were trying
And it
to go
didn't
for.
happen once. And it wasn't
was
like
like
a
3
flash.
times.
It was like Jamaica or Hispaniola, Scotland.
That's so lazy on their
And then
part.
we'd stick on Scotland. Jamaica,
Scotland.
And then we'd stay there for a while.
That does seem really frustrating, considering the fact that like they do so many really interesting, nuanced things with like the music, like that being an interesting part, right? And the fact that they took that as their like, okay, so just so we make sure clear everyone knows this,
I think
it's
they
the
were trying to
same
cover their
thing.
asses. I think they were trying to cover their asses from being racist.
I think they just thought that we were stupid. I think they thought, well, we better explain this because no one is going to get it if we don't make it really clear because we're too smart. After the episode shit this week, it was just a conversation about how good they are at planning. Like, ooh, we plan these things. Just like you thought, it started this way, so it ended this way. And I don't know if you picked this up, but we planned that. I'm like, yeah, it's a bad fucking plan. Like it's not part of making film and television is allowing people to experience it and process it on their own. And if you spell it out for them, that pleasure goes away.
I also think, that, and like because like I only saw the little bits. I saw from the love scene on the naked. I saw nudity. I saw a tit.
Brief nudity.
Brief nudity.
Very brief.
Very brief.
But
Very
from then on, and then like hearing them talk about how like we planned this, and also hearing you say like, you know, there was no narrative thrust or anything kind of motivating this. It does sound like, well, good. I'm glad you guys planned it, but apparently you only planned up until episode 10. And then after that, you were like, we got to get this shit done.
Oh no. It felt like they definitely planned it all the way to the end and then wrote it in through the beginning. And particularly plot wise, not so much the bunny and the bird. That like they just needed to make sure that we got it. We fucking got it.
We got it, dude.
Jesus
we made
fucking
jokes about it
Christ.
the first time they showed up.
Yeah, because you made sure it was significant, so we made sure to notice
like,
it.
why
So
the
the
fuck are we
second
looking at
time
this rabbit?
there was a bunny and a bird.
Oh,
We
yeah.
were like, oh, there's another bunny and another bird.
The
Like,
impermanence
we
of
fucking
life.
got it.
We got it.
We fucking got it.
We got it the first time. Anyway, Patty, we were pissed. So there's no title card. We go straight into the intro, which is Claire drowning, talking about being dead. And I was like, kind of wish I was. And it's this beautiful shot of Claire still falling through the water. Her hair is like floating. She's talking about how there was no more hate, no more fear, no more this show that made me really mad today. And then it flashes back to Jamie and the arrest. Is that where it went first?
No, it didn't fucking go there. She was in that's because there's no fucking way to tell what's actually happening because it was handled really.
This was when.
Oh, we were supposed to do a disclaimer. Let's do a disclaimer if you can't already tell.
We're fucking salty.
It may not be apparent yet, but we didn't much care for this episode. If it is totally understandable if the way that you process television is you just love it and you don't like to be critical, you just love it and you accept it for what it is, and that's your experience.
That's
if that's
great,
your
man.
experience and you don't want to hear people bitch about it, which we have people occasionally comment and they say part of why they like the show so much is that we're so positive about it. If that's your thing, you might want to skip this one. We'll all really quick say one nice thing. What's one nice thing?
Sam Hewen's hair looked great after the shipwreck at the end.
It did. Janine, what's one nice thing? You saw in a little bit, but still.
I really like their drone budget.
Yeah, Drudge It.
Their Drudge It was
Drudge It.
great. There was some pretty shots that I saw.
I loved basically everything David Barry did.
Yes.
How about that?
Yes, I agree.
The somehow he was delivering sick burns and being shady at the same time.
How do you burn in the shade?
I mean, I suppose he's helped by the fact that he's gay.
Yeah.
Right?
You know what? Yes.
And the homosexuals of the world have elevated shade to a high art form.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if David Barry's gay. I'm talking about Lord John Grey is gay.
For sure.
Lord John Gay.
Lord John Gay.
Coinface killed it. Okay, those are our positives. If you don't want to hear us be negative, I would tune out for the rest of this episode. Next week, we'll be back to being mostly positive because the awards are positive things. So, bye. Anyway,
Bye. Seriously, bye.
So about this bullshit.
It goes from Claire in the water to what?
It goes to her in the back of the carriage.
Right.
But because the last thing we saw of her was Jamie riding away, you only know that it's Claire after that particular moment because she's changed clothes. So she's in can't you go faster?
And I'm all like, where are we? And I had to stop at one point.
You stopped it when we got to Fergus.
Yeah, because Fergus comes back and then you see Claire's mustard dress on the bed with a note. And I'm like, wait, I am sorry. How did we get here? What was the last thing we saw at the end of the last episode? And Allison reminded me, Jamie getting arrested at Governor's Ball and everybody else cheesing it. The cops are here.
So basically 2 things are happening at once and we're cutting back and forth between them. So one is that Claire, I guess 3. So Claire is rollicking her way in a real bumpy carriage. Julie thought maybe she was going to get car sick. Rollicking her way toward, we learn, Geillis's. She's going to find Ian. And as I reminded Julie, and maybe need to remind all of you too, the episode ended with Jamie being like, take the photos of the bairns. You have to go get Ian. I'm getting conveniently arrested again, but don't worry. It really won't matter much next week because it's just an excuse to get Lord John Grey back in another episode, which is fine. I'm fine with that.
And another excuse to separate us for a while so that I'm not there to help you.
But don't worry, at least this time I'm not going to be whopped. So, so Claire's like, blah, 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 why can't we go faster? Why are we stopping? And then we realize the carriage has stopped because there's a band of maroons walking toward them. So it's people, obviously freed, people of color, freed or escaped people of color, walking in a line. And I think we were supposed to think it was scary. I don't know.
I don't know what we were supposed to think about it. Nope. It was just a little drop there. Like, hey guys, guess what? We're going to see them again. It was like that. It was like, bing, bing, foreshadowing. Womp, womp.
And then, boom, 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 and they go back. Mm-hmm. Then we cut to Fergus and Marsley Parsley. There's got to be, she deserves a fucking nickname.
I'm okay. Well, Marsley, I'm gonna have to think about it. Maybe I'll have something for the live show, but I'm going to have to stew it in my mind.
Can we call her breakfast cereal? Because that's what it sounds like.
Like
Marsley
muesli?
Parsley?
Yes. Why don't we just call her muesli?
Muesli?
Yeah.
Well, I don't get
Well,
it.
she's pretty badass.
Well, muesli's good for your ass, though, so maybe.
Keeps you regular?
Yeah. It's like pottage.
Pottage.
Muesli is basically like French granola, you guys. I'm sure that some of you know this.
Muesli?
No, I don't like that. What I'm saying is
MP.
I need some time. I need some time.
We had an entire season with her.
Yeah, I know, but I need more time because, as we've noted, we don't really do this with female characters. We don't make up nicknames for them.
Yeah, oh, that's true. Yeah.
So I need a little bit more time because if I was just to say it off the top of my head right now, it would sound shitty. Like it would be like Sassbox or Sass Mouth or something, and that just isn't right.
It'll come to us.
Why are we doing parsley?
Because that's the way it's pronounced.
Oh, yeah,
Marsley
right.
like parsley.
Well, because
really low-hanging fruit.
Again, Miss Davina Porter,
the
award-winning book narrator, Davina Porter, who got somebody on the Slack told us she got some kind of.
This is fucking delicious.
Is it?
Yes. This is the. I'm not going to try to pronounce the Hawaiian Pia Mahiai. I did try.
Okay, give me a sip.
Honey citrus saison. It's really good.
Well, I'm drinking a cocoa Weizen. It's a coconut Hefeweizen.
Oh, that's really good.
And this is once again from our listener Trish. She sent us beer from Hawaii from Honolulu Beer Works. You guys,
Trish,
the world is a magical place.
Listen, Trish,
my cream ale's great too.
You by far, you're all my favorites.
You're all my favorites.
We have two separate listeners. One sent us beer, one brought us beer. And you know what? Beth bought us beer that one time.
Yep, that's right.
It's very nice.
Listen, you want to be my favorite, just buy us beer.
No
also,
problem.
just keep listening to us. You're still my favorite.
Well, Kirshner shared her beer last week, and Helena bought us a round.
That's
you
true.
You guys are amazing.
Very cool.
Except for Jen Moniz. She sucks.
butthole.
Butthole.
Jen's mom.
Kathleen is great.
Jen.
It's Jen. Okay. Anyway, so when we walk when we enter the room that Fergus and Marsley are also entering, we see, and this is how we're supposed to understand what's going on. We see a yellow dress on the bed, and there's a note on top of it. And then I think it's Marsley helpfully says, "Oh, Claire left a note."
Thanks.
Exposition.
Explaining she was going to Geillis's. Okay. And then Fergus is like, shit, we got to get Jamie out of jail. How are we going to do that? And Marcy's like, I don't know. And he's like, I have an idea. I got to go. You stay here. And she's like, and she said, wait, Fergus Fraser. And I expected her to say, what is your plan? Why on earth would you go have a plan and not at least tell me what your plan is? That's a really stupid thing to do. And I understand that it's narratively convenient for us to not know because then we can be surprised. But perhaps you could just tell me where you're going. And instead she goes, I'm going with you. I'm your wife. And he's like, but I was just going to take it down.
I was just going out for a pack of smokes, man.
Then he gives her this little smile like, you are my wife. Okay, let's go.
Good choice. Let's
go.
go.
As it turns out, where they're going is to Lord John Grey. We'll get there.
We'll
Another
find
thing
that
that we basically had to be explained later because it's not actually clear.
Right.
Back at the...
Back at the ranch.
Yeah, the plantation.
Oh, yeah.
The carriage stops. The two black coachmen let her out. They don't get any fucking lines.
Nope.
She says, I'm going in here. Wait for me at the bottom of the hill or something.
And if I'm not here by dayfall, call the cops.
Inquire at the house.
And they're like, yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Oh, they say, yes, mistress.
Well, sucks.
Yeah.
So Claire decides she's going to take a stroll through the slave quarters.
It's like this. She's
Because-
wandering and she's going,
Ian!
She is walking through other people's space as if she belongs there, right? She's like,
Ian!
she's whisper yelling, which has never worked.
It's not
Here's
good.
the thing. If you're going, Ian, all that does is let people know that you don't want to be seen. As opposed to going, Ian. Oh,
Hey,
don't
Ian.
mind me. I'm just looking for my
I'm just
nephew.
looking for my nephew.
Ian.
Does anybody know him?
That's like people who don't whisper, but they're trying to be quiet. Or they're talking really quiet, and they're like, you're just trying to be quiet, but I can hear you.
I don't know what you're saying, Janine.
I hate those people.
I've got a funny little side note on that one if you'd like to hear it.
Yes.
Yeah.
There was a guy I used to do a lot of theater with in Arkansas named Mike Thomas, who was very, very funny.
There's a guy I used to do named Mike.
Definite top five. Definite top five of my funniest people. And he talked about this woman that used to do a lot of stage managing for community theater in Fayetteville back then.
Mhm.
And how she could not whisper. So it would be like this. He would be backstage during the show and she would come up to him and get right in his ear and go, hey, Mike, you need to get on the stage left. So this kind of is what Claire going, Ian. It also made me think of the mom from Throw Mama from the Train.
Owen! I had a nightmare. Louis Armstrong was trying to kill me.
So then she gets grabbed by Hercules, who I think also doesn't have any lines.
No, he doesn't.
Oh,
But you know
Jesus.
what? Here's a place where the show improved on the book. For the most part, I hate being the in the books person. And this isn't about like, ooh, they cut my favorite thing. Mostly if they cut something, and I am upset, it's because it removed a reason for another thing to even exist, right? Or like helpful context or nuance or I don't know, character development or narrative sense.
You know, something.
Forward momentum. Anyway.
Anything that linked these stories together.
Anyway, Patty, in the book, Hercules is drugged into complacency and Claire thinks he's a fucking zombie and they have a conversation about whether or not he's a zombie because she found the two biggest slaves she could find and drugged them into like a stupor. So they're just like huge, terrifying men with like no mental function at all.
Ew.
It's really gross. It's
Geillis.
Hercules and Zeus. Maybe it was Zeus. I don't know. They have
Ugh.
god names. It's
Geillis.
gross.
Damn.
It's really gross.
So, well, Hercules grabs her because not only is she walking around in an area where she's not welcome, but she is snooping. She sees a dog sniffing at hay pile. She pushes back some of the hay and there are dead bodies there.
Oh God.
Which we can only assume were Geillis's boy toys
They
that
were
she
the boys.
killed.
Yeah, it's probably what's his face. What did we end up calling him? Pete?
Yeah, maybe Pete.
Brian?
It might have been
Brian?
Pete.
Did we call him Kevin?
It was not. We started at Kevin, and then you were like, we can't call him Kevin.
So we see what happens to the boys after she saps their energy.
Herbert.
Yeah, Herbert is under a pile of straw and getting eaten by a tiny terrier.
Well, and here's one of the best moments of the episode for me. I saw that dog and completely irrationally went, Bouton!
That's true. She did. Out loud.
It was not Bouton.
No.
It wasn't even like the 8th Bouton.
It was like...
I want you to know one of the things we were robbed of this season is a scene where Claire gets to meet up with Mother Hildegard, who's still alive. And she says, Mother, may I ask you a question? And she says, 92. It's great.
Oh, that would have been... Just that scene alone would have been better than this whole episode.
Hold on.
Oh my God.
Whale song again.
The despair in that.
I'm really disappointed. I've been telling people for fucking years that this show is way better than it sounds when you describe the premise. And until recently, I was right. I do have faith that next season it's going to get better. The next book is going to be much easier to adapt. And hopefully by then they will have hired some fucking black people. Because you know what? I don't want to assume that nobody on the Outlander writing staff is black. It is very possible they have black writers. Or writers of any color at all other than white. But my God. I just find it hard to believe. If so, that writer is either not being listened to or not speaking up or it maybe is a bad writer. It's possible they're a bad writer. Whatever.
Knows?
Who that fucking knows? Anyway.
So Hercules grabs Claire and then brings her up to the house, and she is now thrown into audience with Geillis. And Geillis starts it out...
My friend,
doesn't she start it that way? But it's obviously very menacing. And
oh, well, we skipped a bit.
What was the bit?
As Claire is being brought up to the house, Geillis is having just a fight with Ian, with Wian.
This was the best Wian scene.
It was good. He only really has 2. And I actually didn't think he was bad in the other one either.
No, he was fine in the other one, but this one was more impactful.
So she's like, listen, you didn't tell me about your aunt. And he was like, what? Why would I tell you about my aunt? He's like, well, we're linked. We have that. She came here looking for this. You didn't tell me she was here looking for the sapphires.
And he's like, I don't know what you're fucking talking about.
What do you not understand? They were to pay a debt. She's like, I don't believe you. And then he says, well, here's an exact quote because I wrote down the exact quote. I'm tired of your blathering and I am so awesome, you bitch.
That's pretty much it.
I paraphrased a little, but he gets right in her face and she is furious. So basically the idea being, and again, I feel like usually we recap the plot to give us a structure about which to comment on the episode. It's not because we think you guys didn't watch, although we do have listeners who do not watch the show, which I love.
Is that real?
That is true.
Yeah.
So,
they exist.
I mean, that's why Ruth started, like she said last week, that's why Ruth started watching the show. She listened to the podcast and then started watching the show.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yes, of course.
So
I'm
we don't
gonna call them
recap-
the Janine fan club, by the way.
The Janines. The Janines of the world. So they... we don't recap the plot because we thought you forgot. We do it because it's very easy then for us to hang all the other things we want to talk about on there. And we watch it and then record right away. So that's helpful, whatever. But in this case, I feel like we actually have to recap the fucking plot because
I don't remember what happened when.
Because it's actually not even that complicated. It just doesn't make a ton of narrative sense. Like, it's not like there are so many twists and turns. Oh my God, what happened? It's just like, we're here and we're here. Let me, and now we're here. I coined a new term 2/3 into the way. And this probably isn't a new term, but it's new to me. So we're just going to pretend it's mine.
Okay.
Exposition. When it's not even that an actor is giving exposition, it's that a scene was written with no real context. So it's up to the actor to communicate how important it is through just like their eyebrows and shit. They're like, no, well, she wanted the Jew and Lottie Verbeek.
Gunning it. She's gunning it. She is making it work.
And so is Wian. So they have this fight where basically what we're meant to understand is that Geillis, who is not suffering from syphilis, which is a change from the book. In the book, Claire thinks like, oh, well,
she's insane.
Claire thinks, well, she was fucking all these boys. And then she was obviously nuts. So syphilis and come here. I've got to prick you in the butt with this thing you're not going to understand. Don't worry about it. I'm definitely not a time traveler.
Don't worry about it.
Right. So,
so
she uses her last dose of penicillin in the book to make sure that Ian doesn't get syphilis.
No more penicillin in the world.
And he does not go, Auntie, are you from the 1960s? Anyway, so Geillis, who does not have syphilis, thinks that Claire has come from Scotland because she's found out that Geillis has the jewels, and she needs them.
Thinks you have to have time travel through the stones.
Geillis thinks you have to have them. This is different from the book.
Okay.
In the fucking book, that's what it is.
Okay.
Here, it's because she needs all 3 stones for the Brahim prophecy, which is a thing in the book. But that's also why she needs Margaret Campbell. So they just decided to link all 3 together. So she decides that Claire is coming for the stones because Claire must be a person who is actively trying to keep a king from rising in Scotland.
Trying to keep an English king on the throne, or just anybody but Scotland?
Anybody but Scotland.
So she thinks that Claire fucked like everything in Scotland. Like Claire was sent there to stop her.
Basically.
Claire is Arnold Schwarzenegger.
What?
Basically.
I missed that.
So there's one thing in this idea.
Terminator.
Yes.
God damn me.
There's one thing in this idea that is narratively clever, which is that by requiring Claire to prove to Geillis that she's traveled through the stones, there's a reason that Geillis would find out about these photos. In the books, Jamie just leaves his coat stupidly.
Dumbass.
Just leaves his coat.
God damn it.
In the plantation while Claire is off healing the sick and Jamie is off pretending to rebuild a sugar mill, but actually looking for Ian. It's weird. But Claire walks back in and Geillis has the photos and starts asking her about them. He's like, oh, you went back and who is this lady and blah, 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 blah. Right? Here, this one result is pretty smart. Which is that because Geillis is paranoid about Claire, Claire has to say, no, that's not what's happening. I wasn't even here. I didn't even go to this school. Here, let me prove it to you. Here's a photo from the 60s of my daughter who you fucking met in person. Mm-hmm. And then Geillis goes, 200-year-old baby. Oh my, gotta go. And just leaves.
Did you guys forget about the prophecy with the 200-year-old baby? Let Geillis remind you.
Oh.
200-year-old baby.
Let Geillis remind you of something that we just saw. Let her remind you. Don't worry, we'll remind you again.
She's also going to remind you that it's your fault that Agent Carter was canceled because I just really wish that she was still on that show. More light would be, please.
I would feel remiss if I did not point out one thing from the scene when Claire and Geillis are in her chambers. First of all, her dressing gown is tight and right. Mm-hmm. Secondly, when Claire tries to lie about why she was captured in the slaves' quarters, she's all like, I popped around for a bit of tea and I got lost trying to find the house. And it reminded me of...
It was the strangest thing. I was just walking down the lane.
It was so strange.
And it's bad on purpose because Claire's a bad liar.
For sure. And it reminded me of that character on Saturday Night Live back in the day that John Lovitz played. Do you remember Tommy Flanagan? The pathological liar. Yeah, that's the ticket. Because there's this moment right after Katrina Baboff says it where she's like, that was good. Like you can see it in her eyes, like, I nailed that. And you did not nail it.
And then Geillis shows her what a good liar looks like. And it's like, my dear friend, I was acting badly, but now I understand. We've been brought together. You need to understand that the wheels of fate have frightened me somewhat. Oh, I'm so scared, but I gotta go to sleep. Bye. And then just leaves. And Claire's like,
why am I locked in this room?
But that was such a good lie. What's happening? And then they talk about their deep friendship. And all I wanted to do was, Friendtopia. We travel in time and then we kill dudes. Friendtopia. Our manifesto is fun. Check us out. I had to do that. You want to know why? Mm-hmm. Because this week there are not one, not two, but 3 Outlander jokes in Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
That's right. I'm going to watch that episode tonight.
Ooh, it was great. And as a result, I was duty bound to make a Crazy Ex-Girlfriend reference. So Claire, basically, Geillis is like, oh, let me gracefully get out of this. But no, seriously, I gotta go. Time to travel. Time to find a baby. And then she just leaves.
And then she's gone.
And Claire's all locked up.
Anyway, Patty, then we flash to Jamie.
Jamie's being led
on this island.
Somewhere on this island.
Who knows where the fuck we are
on this island?
So about Bally High.
Captain Leonard and his baby face and his terrible curls are leading Jamie. I'm sorry. I feel bad for that guy. They fucked that character up not that he was all that interesting in the books, but he was more interesting. And then his actions make no sense. And it's just a plot convenience. And I feel bad. Mm-hmm. So he's marching Jamie along the docks. And Jamie's like, but we have to stop and get my acupuncture needles because otherwise I'm going to die.
Barf all over you.
Oh, man, he's from the west side.
When a big band of men walk up, and you can tell they're not civilians because they are wearing
those coats.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. They're
Captain
very
Leonard,
British.
we must take this man into our custody. And he's like, bitch, no, cut to. On whose authority?
A nice arched eyebrow, an aquiline nose. We forgot. Coinface is the governor of the island.
Oh, Coinface.
It's very convenient,
Oh,
but
you know
also
what?
like a
Hold
breath
on.
of fucking fresh air.
Yeah, well, let's just live in it for a minute because I'm allowing myself to think happy thoughts about the show and it feels really good.
This was the best scene in the episode.
Oh, this is like being in a sauna. Did you know that the Finnish use saunas to make beer?
No way.
I think a sauna is something different around about those parts, but there's a specific kind of beer. Off Color is making one of these beers now, which is it's called Bear, which is how I know. But it's like a sauna. But then there's I suppose brewing equipment, and then they also use juniper, which means you probably wouldn't care for it. But anyway, beer
Are they
and
just-
a sauna.
Are they
I'm
just
really
sweating the
happy.
hops, like making the hops the most optimal hop? Do the hops have to come out of the sauna and then hop into a cold water
I
bath?
think it's more like the hops are portly, well-to-do Italian men, and they're just having a schwitz into some water and some yeast and some barley and some juniper.
making deals.
That makes sense.
Anyway, this
So
scene
here
is
we are.
the best. Is this the best scene in the episode?
Well, yes, I think it was because it was the best acted.
There was a good that I cannot believe it's been 41 minutes already. Fuck this fucking episode. I know I went on a little soapbox there, but you know what? Seriously, Daphne, you have to pass along that message. This is
Daphne,
all I have left.
Get on it. Also, I forgot to keep putting up the notes because I was also drinking, going to like, we're trying to get into the heart of this. And then I'm like, oh no, we've been trying to get into the heart of this for a while.
Yeah, because
there's no heart.
There's no heart.
There is no central.
There's no fucking heart.
There's no central thing that keeps everything together here.
Yeah.
It's like a quilt, a shitty quilt, a shit quilt, if you
Shit
will.
quilt.
This episode is a shit quilt. I like shit
Shit.
quilt better. Shit quilt.
Shit quilt.
Wait.
No, man.
No,
Shit
okay,
quilt.
shit quilt.
Hashtag shit quilt.
Hashtag shit quilt. You know what? Yes.
How to make an American shit quilt. Filming in Scotland.
Okay, Lord John Grey, let's get to it. He's so awesome.
It's just, I just want to live here now. David Barry is great. Basically, what happens in the scene is that
Lord John Grey came with receipts and Babyface Leonard did not.
it's actually more like Lord John Grey didn't need receipts because he didn't have to make the return because Babyface didn't have receipts.
Right.
And it's a 30-day return policy.
You're right. He's
And
like,
also it's been opened and you obviously wore them already.
there's a warrant out for this man's arrest in Scotland. Oh, is that so? Do you have the warrant? No. Oh, then how do you know anything about this guy?
And at one point he's like, Lieutenant Leonard. I'm sorry.
Captain Leonard.
That things are much more. I'm not used to the
Liberal
liberal
practices.
practices of the Navy.
Oh.
You see, in the army, you have to
Earn your rank.
Oh, snap.
Shady and Bernie.
Shady
Damn.
Bernie.
Shady
But
Burn.
to be fair to poor Lieutenant/Captain Leonard, it's because everybody else died.
Everybody else was shitting themselves to death.
Literally.
So,
Speaking of shit quilts,
Yeah.
shit hammocks, lots
Woof
of them.
shit hammocks.
Slow drip coffee for everybody. Anyway, you can see me like, I'm intimidated and you're so handsome, but you don't understand. This is my shot. And he just continues to be like, wait, okay, so you just have the word of one dude? Okay.
Well, then
you don't have
obviously-
you don't have a warrant. You don't have a writ. You don't
Obviously
have a
that-
witness testimony that's been attested to by. You don't have this. you
That
don't have
man
that.
hasn't gone to the magistrate and issued sworn testimony? Do you have that?
No,
Oh, obviously
dude,
you
I
have
just
that.
got here. I just.
Shit.
I don't have
man.
anything. Oh, then you're going to have to go away now.
So we've just Coinface knows how to play the fiddle, huh?
Well,
And then at the end of it, he's like, "You may go now, Lieutenant Leonard." And there's this look. Sam Huon is looking at Coinface, looking at Coinface like he's also shitting, but it's rainbow bubbles. Like, it's just, he's looking at him, and I described the look to Julie as this. I'm married and I don't like penis, but boy, if I did,
I'd be on it right
because
after the scene is
it's
over.
very cool. And he's like, man, I am really lucky that this is an incredibly patient man who is tolerant of my homophobia, which he didn't understand the source of. I'm really glad about that. Also, he looks good.
I also forgot my favorite line after the liberal practices of the naval services, which is, surely you're not basing this all on the scurrilous gossip of the lower deck.
It's good.
Shady.
And you know,
I wrote, damn, Coinface.
yeah, and there are plenty of lower deckers. So.
And then and then Jamie, so Babyface Leonard exeunt. I wonder if we'll ever see him again. I bet we won't.
Nope.
Bye.
That's a wrap on Babyface
on
Leonard.
And Jamie's like, I seem to be indebted to you again. And Coinface is like, we have always been indebted to each other, or just like we've both been indebted to each other.
We've been indebted to each other so many
Allison
times.
was like, how are you indebted?
There's the ones. There's the thank you for not killing me when I was a child.
Or also thank you for not outing me.
I guess.
I don't know.
There's definitely thank you for being a friend.
Thank you for being a friend.
You traveled down the road to Hellwater and back again.
Travel down the road to Hellwater and back again. Your heart is true and you got a nice fine ass.
But if you threw a party and invited everyone you knew, it would be approximately everyone in the world, because you know everyone you meet. Thank you for being a friend. Dun, 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 dun.
Yes.
It's not an all-time classic. That's a B-side.
That's really good, though, you guys.
And that song ends with
Womp womp. But the scene ends with one of the best moments in the show. It was so good that we wrote down a timestamp in case anybody needs to go check it out.
Oh.
The timestamp is 12 minutes, 12 seconds to pure Coinface.
So
Nothing but
basically,
profile.
Oh, yeah.
basically, Jamie says,
I love you,
until
man.
next
I
time,
love you."
John, thank you so much for saving my life. And John is like, no worries, man. Just as long as you're still cool with the fact that I'm still in love with you and we're just not addressing it. Is that cool? Great. Okay.
That's cool, man.
Thank you.
Cool,
I'll see you soon. I'm sure we'll meet again, because the show is nothing but a string of coincidences. Thank you, bro.
This entire bro thing is brought to you by a point.
Yeah, I just
Point.
Bro.
Yeah, bro.
I see you, bro.
Cool.
So Jamie wanders off, and the LJG see Coinface. Coinface turns to watch him go and gives us pure Coinface. It's nose,
deliberate,
and jaw,
nothing.
and eyes. We took a photo of it. I'm going to put it in the Slack. I'm going to put it on Twitter. I'm going to make it the wallpaper on my phone. I'm going to sleep on a pillowcase
When
made
it
with
happened
that
the
photo
first
on
time, like he turned around and I went,
Janine.
Coinface! And like we had to rewind it and like pause it so we could get the timestamp. It was real. Oh, you're about to see the photo. You think
wait.
we're exaggerating. We are not.
I cannot wait to see this photo.
Literally Franklin Mint style.
They just were like,
cut, boom, boom, boom,
It's like,
nose, forehead, chin.
give
I'm
us this
pulling it up.
profile.
Oh, I'm doing it. I'm doing it, and I'm doing it, and I'm doing
it well.
Yeah.
Well,
very well.
sort
Look
of
at this ship. Look at that. Oh, I have the rotator thing on. I have
Rotator cuffs.
technology. Turn. There we go.
Oh. Jesus.
Yeah.
Hold on. Oh, shit, man.
Oh, shit.
Look at that goddamn.
Look at that
good face.
profile.
Let's look
at
at
that
this
nose.
again.
It's also that
Goddamn
nostril.
fucking
His
nose.
nostril is big enough that it curls upwards in a kind of not snide but very patrician manner that would definitely call for a cutout in the profile. You know, like you
Well,
would.
it's got-
It's definite nostril.
And there's a little
I
bit
gotta
of
go. I gotta look at it again.
Yeah.
there's a little bit of an upward curve to it at the end of
Yes,
the nose.
just a
and
little
that,
button.
And that beautiful
And then
recessive
look-
gene is amazing.
Look at the sad but resigned longing in his single eye. Look at that.
As he's
That is some serious acting.
He's side-eyeing
Look at that
out
acting.
to that, man.
Yes.
He's
Oh
just
my
going,
God.
oh, I hate to see it go, but I love to watch you walk away.
Goddamn Coinface.
Perfect.
Coinface. Oh,
Okay,
jeez.
so you know what?
Meanwhile, back at the ranch.
Yeah, but this needs one more toast, because it's rough sailing from here on out. It's
Yeah.
a while
literally
until
rough sailing.
It's,
I mean, it ends with a shipwreck.
it is rough sailing, but at least there's one point in the future where it's just going to knock your head right off your body. But other than that, Guys, that's what it sounds like when Julie laughs with a grape in her mouth.
I was trying not to choke.
Please don't choke. Oh, please don't choke. Oh, God.
All right. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, it's just two ladies having tea. Geillis is having a few people over. And they're it's just Claire and Geillis out on the lanai. Let's keep that Golden Girls theme going. Having a spot of tea and a conversation. And this is where Geillis shows her ass. She keeps pressing Claire as to why she's there. Then she just kind of goes to 500 pretty quickly. It's because you wanted the sapphire. And like she gets...
No, I think we already did that. No, because this scene is where they're that's an amazing story you told me because she's told her all about coming back on the ship. No, am I wrong?
No, this is where she explains why you need the stones to do it.
Okay.
Yeah. So she has this whole thing about the stones and the ritual, and you got my book and you read this shit. Mm-hmm. And my quote on this is like when you're talking to someone you thought you knew at a party and you find out they're a flat earther.
Oh.
Yeah. Because she just kind of goes over. She goes over, and Claire is like, what the fuck?
And then, so this is where she finds out she's met Bree already.
Jeez.
Right. And they're having their whole chat, and the fate has brought them together. And I guess it's like
I was there at Craig Nadoon. That was your voice I heard when I went through the stones.
I wanted to tell you about Crane's Muir.
So you saw
my husband.
And she's like, what was left of him? Yes.
And then Geillis goes, God bless you, Letty, for big. She goes, ooh, he was one of my favorites.
Handsome.
Beautiful cock.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Too bad she had to burn him alive.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
The one that she burned at the rocks?
Yeah.
Remember when Geillis was like...
Jeez.
Kind of a feminist icon, legendary. And now I'm kind of like, ugh.
Yeah.
Couldn't they have just made it so she had syphilis?
Mm.
I don't have that much left.
So a reason for her insanity, you mean?
Yeah.
Like an actual
she
reason?
was always kind of the worst. And I have to admit that particularly in the show, we projected a lot of feminist shit onto her because straight up murdering dudes is like
not awesome.
No,
please don't.
But she was going to a fucking barbecue, and now she's just going to a cave. A little drop of spit flew out of her mouth when she did that. Also, Geillis gets her own like crazy glockenspiel music, which was kind of like ding 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 ding. She's insane, and it is gonna get real weird.
And this is when she takes the photo and shoves it in her dress.
Yeah,
and then Claire gets locked away. Sorry,
which is why later it looks like it's got some boob sweat on it,
or it got slightly burnt or touched by the salt or whatever she was sprinkling. I don't know. I'll have to call my mom. Whatever she was doing in that ritual. Tusk! And this is where Claire gets locked away. This is actually when she realizes she's locked in the room. And then she looks out the window and sees some people carrying appropriate and then, very convenient.
And it's, let's be real, this is old-timey glass. It's not like she's just locked in an Apple store. It's not going to withstand a car or some shit. So she's like, Ian, I gotta get out these windows. Let me just wander around in here.
I gotta figure this out. And Allison's all like, look at all those fucking candlesticks, bitch. Just pick one up and go, bitch. And then the door starts rattling. And to her credit, she did pick one up.
She did. She was Miss Time Traveler in the study with the candlestick. And she's like, I'm going to hit whoever the fuck this is. They're coming through the door. No time to hit. Oh, it's Jamie.
Of course it's fucking Jamie. How did he know? So he knew she was going to Geillis's, right?
Yes.
How did he get that close to the house? How did he get in there?
It's because, I don't know. We'll add to the list of...
It was just, when he appeared, I actually out loud went, of course, God damn it.
Anyway, she doesn't bean Jamie with a candlestick, which is good. She goes, oh, it's Ian, we have to go right now. So they run conveniently into the exact next scene we're supposed to be in. She doesn't get lost in the woods. I want you to know, in the books, that there's a whole thing where Archie Campbell is a serial killer who murders prostitutes.
I think you mentioned that.
Right. And Etienne Cho has had to run away because everyone assumed he killed one of the prostitutes. So there's this showdown where Claire's in Geillis' house and Geillis isn't there because she's already going to Abondaway, which is in the books on another fucking island. It's not in her goddamn backyard.
Yeah. Yes.
It's just because you know what doesn't make any fucking sense?
Many things.
Well, yes. It doesn't make any fucking sense that somebody who is a traveler, because remember, like we've heard at this point many times, that as they get close to the stones, they start to feel sick and they can hear them and the whole nine, right? Like this has been established.
So it's like Geillis is basically Manuel Noriega while somebody is just blasting
I
Van Halen outside of her
we're supposed
compound.
to understand that she must have had the plantation built there, or that she maybe, and I'm working harder than the show is just for all of you to help us get over even one or two of these huge leaps of logic. Maybe Geillis was looking for another circle of stones, found one and was like, oh, it's in the backyard of this guy that I could totally bone, and then marries him and then kills him. That's it. It doesn't make it. It's on another fucking island in the book. They have to borrow a boat from Lord John Grey.
Another boat.
Which technically they steal because they have to steal it, or he could be in whatever. Anyway, they have to go to a different island and then hike to this place, and it's a whole thing. And this is just like they run into the sugar cane, the corn, whatever the fuck they're growing there.
Heavy plantage, whatever.
And then
Weed.
right in the backyard, presumably in full view of the person who lives there, there's this dance going on. And I'm like not anywhere near culturally smart enough to know exactly how to hit the right balance of acknowledging a culture that's foreign to us without fucking, I don't know, like idealizing it, fetishizing it.
It felt like it was fetishizing the other and the exoticism of it. It didn't feel like we were learning anything about it.
No.
It felt like, hey, look at this. Isn't it wild?
So we have from Dr. J. She's going to teach us some fundamentals with this
Thank
question.
you, Dr.
Are you ready?
J. Yes. Dr. J, I love you. Thank you.
I know y'all are recording and I want to know, anyone else disconcerted that they made a parallel between these two supposedly very ancient, mystical, and beautiful ritual dances, one showing ethereal European women in gauzy white dresses with fairy lamps, and the other showing African women also dancing in white flowering garments, but with said dance infiltrated and surrounded by depictions of pseudo-Afro-Caribbean voodoo done with images of things like people biting chicken necks, wearing alligator heads, drinking blood while screaming, and cheering and carrying off a murdered man, albeit a murdered asshole, to Lord knows where. I think they were trying to portray this survival of indigenous religion and ritual among an unspeakably oppressed and rightfully angry population, but it came across as just too stereotyped in Hollywood for me.
Yes.
Again, I was going, really, guys? Really? And yes, some of it is from the source material, but it's presented without any Mrs. Graham parallel imagery. And now I'll shut my trap and take off my anthropology and Doctor Who. Oh, no. Sorry. I saw Doctor Who because of my life. It's not. And take off my anthropology and Doctor Who went and lived in the wilderness with people a long time ago glasses and just start drinking while I cook dinner. Then, wow, that was a lot of typing. And I also thought, well, Geillis' attempts to go through the stones are always more violent and scary than Claire's. So maybe that's why her Mrs. Graham dance is more violent and scary. But the show also makes it very clear that we are supposed to view Geillis as totally unhinged, dangerous, delusional, murderous person. And the dancers outside of Bondaway are not those things at all. So I can't accept any aspect of that parallel. My brain hurts.
Yeah.
So does mine. So does mine, Dr. J.
Said Dr. J.
I want you to know that sounded muffled because there was an elaborate beer pass that happened all the way across the table without either of them just seeing if I would pass the fucking beer.
No, man.
No, you were on
You
a
were
roll.
busy.
And also, I've chosen to sit on the wrong side of the table. I think that's where a lot of that awkwardness came from.
That was my placement of the chairs this time. I wasn't really paying attention when I set everything up earlier. That's okay.
We're
So,
good.
Dr. J, I think what you just said is exactly how I felt. It felt like they obviously wanted us to remember Mrs. Graham and her Dick Rock dancers. So obviously wanted us to remember it that they showed us that 3 times. But in comparison, you see this kind of, as you said,
Oh God, that beer is really good.
ethereal ritual dance. It's like beautiful. It's women only, like a safe space, like very kind of removed and floaty or something. And then it's so stereotypical to have this like just earthy, like it just feels different and it's weird.
It's the biggest problem.
The other.
Here's
It's
the thing.
other.
If that dance was authentic, that's great that they did that research, but it was not shot like the other women were shot.
No.
It was ethereal, gauzy fairy lamps and like primal sexual convulsing, and it wasn't in like pretty slow motion. There wasn't any Vaseline on the lens. Like it's no soft focus, no like one arm trailing, none of that shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then the alligator head guy, who's a character in the books, who, by the way, that character in the books is Joe Abernathy's ancestor,
Oh, okay.
Ishmael.
Mm-hmm.
And you thought you were making a Moby Dick joke all by yourself.
That Moby Dick joke does come up later, though. That's awesome. So there was already a Moby Dick joke in this episode.
This was always going to get cut. I'm glad they cut it. But Claire accidentally gets it while she's running through the woods trying to find Jamie while they're trying to find Wian after the serial killer murder. It's a complicated book.
Oh my God.
Claire all of a sudden feels something hit her legs and goes down. She's like, what the fuck just hit my legs? Like a flat, like she got hit by a bat. And she rolls over and it's a fucking crocodile.
Oh, jeez.
And then the Maroons come out and kill it and then use the head, and the head goes out, and then they have Margaret Campbell for other reasons and they're whatever. And Margaret Campbell is a part of this ritual, which there's a reason. So there's a reason for the ritual in the books, which is that they found this woman who is a seer and they want permission from, or like, I don't know, repentance or information. They want to ask questions of deceased loved ones. And because she's a seer, they're able to perform this ritual. And then Margaret Campbell answers questions for them so that when Margaret Campbell speaks in Brianna's voice, they're already doing this thing where dead people are asking questions. And then Brianna's voice seems to come from the same place when Jamie walks into the circle.
Is that a thing that's about to happen?
Yes.
Okay. Because
I don't love this stuff in the books, but there's a reason for all of it.
Mm-hmm.
There are reasons for all of it. It's not good. Some of it entertaining, but not good, and pretty racist, but less racist.
So
this is a part where it's actually less racist.
So Margaret Campbell is there, but the link between the Maroons' ritual and Margaret Campbell was completely unclear. Like to me,
there wasn't one.
Right. So what you're saying is in the book, there is a link, though, like that's the reason. And here I'm like, what? Why is this happening right now? And then you see Margaret Campbell off to the side, and some of the Maroons go into the woods to like be with her and get read, however, to hear from their loved ones or whatever message they're looking for. So you can see that they're trying to make a point of that, but it doesn't. There's no, for us just watching it who've never read the books, there is absolutely nothing to join these two things. And so it feels weird, for lack of a better term.
Okay, so let's deep dive on Margaret Campbell for just a second. And I'm going to let you know, this is going to get really weird. You might want to open a beer.
No problem.
Great. So, here's the progression in the book. It's good, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, great meal. Here's the progression in the books. So, Archibald and Margaret Campbell are on the island. You should also know that she's does not speak unless she's in these fugues. Ever. There's also a whole thing where she was in love with somebody who died during the Rising, and then she got attacked and she basically lost her mind. And so Archibald Campbell hates all the people who participated in the rebellion, but in particular one man named Jamie Fraser, who he heard was the one that she was in love with, which is not, I know, it's another coincidence. It doesn't matter. Anyway, Patty, Margaret Campbell disappears, and the whole island is abuzz with talk that Margaret Campbell disappeared. Maybe she just wandered off the lanai.
Damn, Rose, get back here.
So Archibald Campbell is all freaked, and he's looking for her, but he's also meeting up with Geillis, who's not his patron. He's there for other reasons.
To kill people?
No, yes, but he's also a priest. Anyway, he shows up at the house because he and Geillis are working on this Brahmin prophecy or whatever, and there's the shit with the stones, and he's lying. And then he gets killed by Mr. Willoughby because he's threatening Claire after Claire first figures out that he's in on this shit with Geillis, and then figures out that he's the
Jack the Ripper of this
Strangler,
island.
the slasher, the fiend. So then Claire, Mr. Willoughby is like, I'm leaving. By the way, Jamie gave me this British name. That's not my fucking name. I'm taking my chances. Good luck to all you white people. Fuck y'all. And then he's gone. He's gone. Oh, I can't make that joke anymore.
Nope. So many good things have been taken from us.
I know.
I don't know.
It was a Kevin Spacey joke.
It was a Kevin Spacey joke.
Oh, son of a bitch.
Anyway, Patty.
Christ.
So she goes running to the woods, gets swamped by a crocodile.
What? Lack of a better
They run
term.
into this So there's another pirate fight. Like when I told you Claire got the cut on her arm that she almost died from, and then she got the fever fucked out of her. When that happened, there's somebody who chose to stay on the ship who was with these pirates, who had obviously been taken prisoner. So he just stays on the ship. His name is Ishmael. And once he figures out that he can trust Jamie and Claire, he makes a bargain with them, which is that he will bring them to whatever island they need to go, where that Ian is gone, because it was, I guess it was Ian's ship. It doesn't fucking matter. But gets to name his price for his service.
So is Ishmael Joe's ancestor?
Yes.
Okay.
Because he escaped from Geillis' farm. So when the crocodile gets killed, it's by Ishmael, who also ends up freeing Temeraire because they haven't figured out what to do with Temeraire yet. And Ishmael's like, oh, I know my price. I want him. And they're like, we're not just going to give you another person. And then Ishmael says something to Temeraire in a foreign language, and Temeraire bursts into tears and like falls to his knees and hugs his legs. And obviously they're from the same place or something. Anyway, they both end up with the Maroons. They run into Claire and they're like, what the fuck are you doing here? And she's like, I don't really know, but I need to find my nephew. And they're like, okay, well, I don't know, but you should probably come with us for right now because there's fucking crocodiles out here. So they go back and she sees Margaret Campbell, who wandered into the woods, was taken in by these people who then discovered she was a seer. So they decide to have this ritual that they need fucking crocodile blood for and shit. Margaret Campbell thinks she's at a tea party the entire time, but she's speaking in sentences and not being fucking abused by a brother. So it's an upside. So then she keeps answering questions for people who come up. Some people want to know about their marriages. People want to know about the big question is whether or not they should rebel against all the white people on the island and like go and try to murder everybody. And some ancestor says, well, you're going to do it whether or not I say yes, but you should. So there's about to be like a giant revolt on the island. And then Jamie walks into the circle and Margaret Campbell goes, Daddy? And it's like, I swear, in the book, it's so dumb. The whole setup is really dumb, but it's fucking spine chilling because they spend a whole big chunk with her speaking in the voices of people who are not her. Men's voices, too. You see again and again and again.
How does Davina Porter handle this? Is it incredible?
Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
Go with Mama, Daddy. Don't let Mama go alone. Like that. Shit like that. Right? Because what she's saying is like, it's coming. Something terrible is coming. Go, Daddy. I love you, Daddy. Don't let Mama go alone. And then Claire and Jamie are both like, what the fuck? But the actress who plays Margaret Campbell is very good, but she doesn't actually sound like Brianna. And the thing about it is, I can't actually tell if they really just did a voiceover with Brianna. I can't tell.
No, I think it was her. I think it was the actor.
But, you know.
She doesn't sound exactly like Sophie Skelton.
Yeah, but Sophie Skelton doesn't always sound like Sophie Skelton.
Fair.
This is
excellent
what I'm saying,
point.
Right?
What accent is that?
So I have no idea if it was a voiceover or not. But don't let Mama go alone. It's instead of being like, that shit was also why on earth would they substitute the bird and the bunny from Brianna being like, oh, Daddy, I knew it was you. I dreamed about you. And then Brianna actually has a dream where she sees them in the circle. And Brianna warns them in like dream world. There's
you guys, hold on. I'm going to turn on Fleetwood Mac.
Here's the thing. Julie's rolling her eyes, and it is eye rolling, but it's also good fucking theater. You know what I mean? Like the stakes are really high.
They weren't here.
Don't let Mama go alone.
There was
as
zero
opposed
stakes.
to Margaret Campbell sees Jamie and is like, Daddy? The monster's coming. About away.
Oh, it was just awful.
It's just so. Then, also, Janine, E.T. and Cho is there. He and Margaret Campbell are in love. A scene that I thought was too. And here's the thing: there's nothing wrong with that being a romantic connection, but it didn't play as a romantic connection. It played as a connection between like two broken people who see kindred spirits.
I made that joke. I was making a joke about, oh, hey, and you're like, no, broken spirits.
Apparently not. Apparently I was wrong.
Oh, wow.
So they're going to a different island to start a life together. She's suddenly totally fine,
like normal.
And then Archibald Campbell shows up, and Julie said, ooh, he's going to be dead.
I was like, Archie Campbell going to die.
Yeah.
And I was right.
I want you all to know I wrote in capital letters during all of this shit more than once. Yes, we get it. We got it already. Yes, we get, and the fucking bird and the bunny.
It's when she actually says like the rabbit.
And then they show it.
And then the bird. And then they show
it.
pictures.
And then she explains it all again. Like, we already knew this because here's the thing. They already explained it once. Claire already was like, there was this bird. And every time I had a bird, I pretended I thought you. So I guess maybe the only thing we're supposed to get from it is that no, her gifts are really real. But we already fucking knew that too.
And you guys, we had already made jokes about these animals.
A whole season's worth of jokes.
We understood them the first time so well that we have already made jokes about them.
We've already been going, man, we nailed it. This is like
they have made our jokes not funny.
You know, what really upsets me about this is that they cut into valuable boning time.
You know what, Janine? I'm going to need another oh shit.
Oh shit.
Thank you.
Cheers.
I got you.
Cheers. So we see that, and then Archie Campbell shows up, and he's pissed that she is giving away her treats for free. And he gets all bowed up, and then E.T. and Cho's like, fuck no, bitch, and he steps in front.
Well, first he's like, we have to go to our patron, and Jamie is like, bitch, what did you just say? What about Mr. Abernathy? You need to talk to me right now. And that's how they figure out about the 200-year-old baby.
All right.
And Claire's like, fuck, we gotta go, Brianna. And Julie was like, wait, I don't understand what's happening. What is all of this supposed to mean? Where are they going?
I knew that the 200-year-old baby was Brianna.
Yes.
But I did not understand that they were making the link of, Geillis is going to go back and kill Sophie Skelton. Like, I did not make that link.
And again,
because it was not very clear.
The prophecy is that Geillis is going to rule, not Geillis, that Brianna is going to rule Scotland, which is, again, stupid. But it's also more like you understand what Geillis is doing. Because in theory, if the prediction is when the 200-year-old baby dies, a king will rise in Scotland, she's going to die eventually. It's not like it wasn't going to happen at some point.
Well, people are impatient.
But there's no guarantee that if she travels through the stones, she'll actually be able to murder this woman because she might die. Anyway, Patty.
It's just like, it just lets me down.
What pisses me off is they could have cut literally all of the dancing. All of it. All they had to do was run into Margaret Campbell in the fucking woods or literally anywhere. We didn't need any of that information. The dancing was just there so they could pat themselves on the back about how fucking smart they are.
Mm-hmm.
That's really annoying.
Can we talk about Lord John Grey again for just a second?
No, hold on. We have to get through the end of this scene.
Yeah, okay.
So Archie Campbell steps up, is like, fuck you, we got to go talk to Geillis. She's our patron. Margaret Campbell's like, no. And then E.T. and Cho's like, fucking get away from here. And Archie Campbell's like,
and he says, do I need to use the stick?
And he pulls out this cane and starts trying to go towards his sister. Like, now it's very clear that not only was he drugging her, but probably beating her.
Good God.
And E.T. and Cho is like, not having it.
Not on my watch.
By the way, at this point, the ritual that this is all happening just off to the side of has reached a fever pitch where somebody is biting into a chicken.
Yeah, there's drinking of chicken blood and people are ululating and
What's that word mean?
Wow. Yeah. And then E.T. and Choster kills Archie Campbell. And I was like,
good riddance. Gary Young.
Fine.
Good job.
Fine. Yeah.
But lousy final appearance.
But then Archie Campbell gets laid out on the ground and Allison and I were sitting there and I was like, no, don't do it. Don't fuck it. Don't. And then all the people in the ritual have reached such a fever pitch that they run over to the dead body and start clawing at it.
Mm.
Then they hoist it in the air and carry it off.
And I understand if it is supposed to represent the oppressed people getting some power back. Like I get it, but I
feel that way.
It did not feel that way.
Ooh, scary black people. It felt like that's what we were supposed to think.
It just felt not really considered.
No.
I don't know. It was just not well handled.
And it's also an entire scene of exposition.
Mm-hmm.
Just here's all the things you need to know for what's about to happen because we're not going to take our time with it because we're condensing like 250 pages of the book minimum into, I don't know, let's generously say 45 minutes because at least 15 of the minutes of those minutes are just under fucking water.
Yep. So then they know they have to get to a Bondaway. So Jamie and Claire break apart and ask one of the guys,
just one of the escaped slaves,
many maroons, like, hey, where do we go?
And he just points. It's over there.
And he's like, and then Jamie's like, show us the way. And the Maroon is like, hell no. And like walks away. And they're like, okay, fine.
It's a bad place. If that boy goes there, he's going to die.
He's going to die. I'm not going.
And they're like, okay, let's
we're
just
going.
walk over here.
We're just going.
Oh, we're here.
And then they're here. And here's what we see. There is a cave, not unlike the cave in Lost, with a yellow glow coming out of it. And I'm like, it's pee. I don't know if you guys are familiar with my feelings about the series Lost, but they're not good. And then on the top of the ground that covers this cave, out of nowhere, there's a circle of dick rocks.
Okay.
Which
Like-
I was like, why?
Like the dicks just happened?
Like, isn't this culturally specific?
I think that there are actually stone circles kind of all over the world.
Okay.
I think that is really true.
All right, cool.
But
these don't get used.
And there's one of the things that they cut, and again, they had to cut some things, but there's this great conversation that Claire has with the human turtleneck.
Mm-hmm.
Bless him.
We miss you. Can't wait for you to come
where
back, Hottie.
they're basically in a boat on Loch Ness. Like, it's while they're still trying to find Jamie in the past. They take like a little day trip just to like blow off some steam. So they're in this boat, and Brianna's asleep in the boat because she can sleep anywhere. Apparently, like her father.
He couldn't sleep on a fucking boat, though. Unless he had acupuncture. Let's get real.
And they're having a conversation about the circles and like what they could mean. And I think it's that it is the human turtleneck who suggests in the book that the stone circles, because no one knows why they were built. They're not natural formations. No one they assume it's a part of some ritual, but no one knows why these stone circles, like Stonehenge, we have no idea why it was built. We just theorize, we guess. And he says, well, maybe they were built to mark these places where these things happen. Maybe it's just a marker. And then they start theorizing that the reason that all of these reports of the Loch Ness Monster are all wildly different is because maybe there's a portal underwater somewhere. So it's actually a fucking dinosaur, but it's like different kinds of aquatic dinosaurs that accidentally travel in time and end up in the bay. It's really fun. It's silly and fun.
Great.
It's one of the silly fun things, but it's the place where we get the information that maybe stone circles aren't the actual magic part. They're just there to mark where these things happen.
I buy it.
I just need to know if there are hinges like that outside of Great Britain. I'm sure that there are.
Well, I mean, maybe don't think about the circles, but let's think about
like something different, like just
pyramids.
stone markers or pyramids. Oh, fine, you're right. Yeah. But this one 100% looked exactly like Craig Nadoon.
Yeah.
Kind of like just on top.
Wooden Stonehenge emerges from prehistoric Ohio.
Okay, cool, fine.
Yeah, America's Stonehenge.
Cool.
Woodhenge, Neolithic Class 2 henge and timber circle monument in the Stonehenge World Heritage Site.
Fun fact, there's a Stonehenge replica not far from where I'm from in Washington.
Nice.
Actually, it's in Oregon, just on the other side of the Columbia River.
Not a surprise.
Yeah, some of them are obviously man-made. But yeah, there are real henges.
Well, technically, they're all man-made.
Yeah. Yes.
No,
well,
for sure.
Contemporarily man-made.
Modern.
Anyway,
unless they're really
according to a very cursory Google search that I admit could be totally bogus because who the fuck knows.
But I will say this, it felt weird, and I immediately was like, wait a minute, why? And then
they didn't fucking explain it.
They go into the cave, and then this scene happens that we're about to talk about. But the stones actually never come into it because it's about the pool in the cave.
Because they're meant to, and this is the thing they
just
didn't
actually
try to signal where these places are.
But the one in Craig Nadoon is actually the portal.
Yes.
So this one is
because
just
it's on top of a hill.
So this one is just like, hey, look down below. Don't touch this rock. Get underneath and get in the pool.
Sure. Well, because you couldn't. I mean, you wouldn't see it if it was in the cave. Also, probably not room in that cave. Mm-hmm. So they had to build it somewhere.
But do you think that there were all sorts of druids that were like running up to that thing going like, why isn't it working? Why isn't it working? Why isn't it working? Oh, wait a minute. Look down there. What's in that hole? Deep dive.
I mean,
it was a pretty obvious cave.
It was an obvious cave, but you can only see it from one side. Like, if you've got a hinge on top of a hill, it's like, this isn't the
Probably if you know about the time travel, you'd be like, why isn't this working? I should take a look around. And then you'd find the cave.
I should just take a look.
And then you'd walk in the cave and you'd be like,
That's it.
I gotta say, fairy circles aren't an exact science. It's
You know what? You're right. Janine, you're right. You're right. So they go into the cave. And there is Geillis.
And there's Geillis. Looking good and feeling gorgeous in a great cape.
What did we decide to call it?
Oh, we were workshopping it. I don't think we landed on a final solution. There was Little Bitch Riding Hood, Little Brown Riding Bitch,
Little Brown Bitch Cape.
Little Brown Bitch Cape. Bitch Cape. She's wearing her bitch cape.
bitch cave.
Which is now what I'm going to call my cape. It's my bitch cape.
Mm-hmm.
I sold 3 capes today.
Yeah?
I was working at an alpaca store today at the Chris Crinkle Mart.
Oh, nice. I sold 3.
That's fun.
Yeah.
So she's wearing her bitch cape.
Bitch cape.
And she's leaning on the ground, drawn with some fucking, I can tell you from book knowledge, they're ground up gemstones. She's drawn with some fucking ground up gemstones. And
That's
like
a lot of
chalky.
gemstones.
Well, it's needed for the magic to work.
Fine.
You've forgotten something really important about Geillis.
Mm-hmm.
She's a witch.
Yes. So she's put together a whole ritual, and the picture of Brianna is front and center in it.
All crispy on the edges.
Maybe slightly burnt or peed upon.
They handed it
Boob
to
sweat.
a props person. They were like, you know that
Make this
thing
look
you
shitty.
do to make photos look old? Do that thing. Just do that. And then they're like, that was my lighter being lit up. No, I guess that was my shaver.
No, it was an electric.
It's just my vibrator touching the
It
edge
was an
of
electric lighter. An electric
So-
lighter.
And then it's like, it was flames.
Oh, was that a gremlin?
Don't get it wet.
And then it was
Don't get it wet.
And then it was like,
So there's the photo of Sophie Skelton. We see that, and then all of a sudden the camera pans, and there's Wien tied up.
and she's scattering
God.
some perfectly cut gemstones all over the place. Gemstones,
Jesus.
gemstones for everyone.
And Wien is
What is
tied
this,
up
Zelda?
off to the side. In the, universal language of people who are tied up and trying to escape.
It sounded kind of like this.
And Jamie and Claire bust in and are ready to fight, but guess who's there? Hercules. And he stops Jamie right away.
Hercules Mulligan.
He has a gun.
Oh.
So Geillis looks up and is like, take one step further and Hercules will put a ball in your head.
Fun fact.
Mm-hmm.
In the books, Hercules isn't there. It's just Geillis. 1. 2, Jamie does get a ball in the head. He gets shot straight in the fucking head.
What?
But because he has an extraordinarily thick skull, which is...
Of course he does.
well, of course he does, because he's a fucking dude, Julie.
And he's a giant.
And apparently Geillis hadn't loaded the gun correctly. Women, am I right?
You guys, bitches be trying to fire guns.
But it hits Jamie in the head and knocks him out, but travels along his scalp. It's real.
My God.
And Claire just cuts a little, she shaves a little part of his head. She cuts a little hole in his head and she goes, bloop, like she's popping his head, and the musket ball falls out. She holds it to him and she's like, I guess you do have a hard head. And then just starts sobbing. It's a nice moment. Anyway, Patty. So
This entire episode.
So they fight.
So
Jamie
is
and
fighting
Jamie
Hercules.
are scrapping. Claire is running towards Geillis.
A life for a life, sweet Claire. I saved your life at Cranesmuir, so now I get to kill somebody.
It's not very clear.
And-
is it that I get to kill Wien?
Well,
No,
Claire's
it's
like,
that I get to
but
take
he's
your
just
doctor.
a boy. And she's like, oh, no, not him. I'm just killing him so I can travel.
He's
I get to kill
firewood.
your kid. And then this is, if there's one thing I'm really pissed they cut, it was all of Lord John Grey's character development and the building of his relationship with Jamie. If there's 2 things that I'm pissed that they cut, there's this brief little anecdote that's a lot like when Claire talks about the vase, or going over the edge of the bridge in the car, or whatever it is this year when she goes through the stones again and we see her foot, where basically
puddle.
there's an analogy. Yes, the puddle. Where there's these analogies that sort of put the things that happen in different contexts, which I think that both the books and for the most part the show do a really good job of expressing these things. In the book, at this moment, there's a brief anecdote where she's like, there's this one time I was in the car, Brianna was in the car, and somebody sideswiped me. And I stopped, and I looked and I checked that Brianna was okay. And then I got out of the car and I just knew I was going to rip this person apart with my bare hands. And the guy behind her who sideswept her is getting out of the car and he sees her coming, like marching towards the car. And he looks at her and he gets back in the car and he rolls up the window and locks the door and just sits there while she screams him outside the car because he's terrified, because she's in like, you tried to hurt my baby, I'm going to fucking murder you mode. Which is where like the part of her that is acting when she cuts Geillis's fucking head almost all the way off.
Basically almost all the way off.
Nearly headless Geillis.
Picks up, where did she get the machete?
No idea. Who the fuck knows?
Just a fucking machete.
Maybe Geillis had it? I don't know.
Oh, it's a jungle out there.
It is a jungle out there. It's unclear. I don't know. All I know is this is one of the only moments in the episode that was remotely entertaining, because it's these two badass women staring each other down, and Geillis is getting, and then there's the single worst piece of narration that's ever been on the show. All of a sudden, voiceover. That's when I realized the pool was the portal.
Jesus.
Well, here's the thing. There's no fucking pool. There's no pool in the goddamn books. There's no pool. There's no pool.
Why did they do that?
I have no fucking idea.
Why?
Maybe they're going to come back to it next season.
I
got nothing. There would be absolutely no reason to add that.
Maybe they thought they couldn't make it clear where the portal was, but I always just assumed it was further back in the cave. Like, you just walk further back in the cave. It's pretty fucking straightforward. I don't understand why there had to be the pool.
Well, I have a question.
And then Claire is like, so first of all, she fucking almost takes, Geillis' head, it's like hanging on by a little flap. Like,
Geillis is dead. Like, her head is like this to her body on the ground.
That's my question.
And that's a wrap on Geillis Duncan.
You guys, Lottie Verbeek.
Man,
thank you.
You know, I gotta say.
Thank you for everything, Lottie.
Thank you. And I gotta say, I'm sorry that this, hold on, I got a drink.
I'm sorry that this is the way that your character was treated at the end of your arc, because it was you Tim Gunned the fuck out of it, but it was also not awesome.
And like, to have that episode be the last episode for you, you know, like, that sucks.
Well, they knew that was coming the whole time. They possibly could have given her a better reason to be the way that she was.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that we were supposed to assume it's all again about raising up Scotland, but I'll tell you what, I would have bought that this is the best way to raise up Scotland better if it was a syphilitic. I need actually more alcohol. I think I would have had a better time with that word if I weren't consumed by rage.
So
if it wasn't a syphilitic fantasy, because if it were a syphilitic fantasy, because then you could see someone who's really committed to this one idea, latching onto this one really crazy idea as being the only way to accomplish it. Instead, she's like, I'm sorry, I have to go back to the 60s because I got to murder the fuck out of your daughter. And it doesn't make sense for the character. It doesn't seem like it would have a decent result. Like it just doesn't make any fucking sense. And then she dead. And the first effect is great. And you don't get a close up with the face, which is helpful, but you see the neck is going like,
oh my gosh.
Womp womp.
And then Claire is like, fuck.
I just did that.
Jamie has a knife to Hercules' throat, but then he watches Claire cut Geillis' head off. And he's like, you're free. You can go. And Hercules is like, peace. See ya. And off he goes. So then Jamie runs to Ian and cuts him loose, and Ian is like, Uncle Jamie,
I knew you would come. You know what, everybody? Y'all need to quit depending upon Jamie Fraser so much.
Well, I mean, he did see him get kidnapped. Nobody else would have come.
I guess that's true, but think about all the ways he could have died by then.
Yeah, I mean, Ian is a good character. We're grateful he's alive.
I'm just saying that hope.
Anyway, while Jamie and Ian are having their reunion, Claire is standing by the edge of the pool, going like, "I'm gonna fall in. I'm gonna fall in." And she starts to fall, and then Jamie just takes her hand. He doesn't even grab her as she's falling. He just takes her hand. She's like, "Whoop, I'm fine."
Oh no, I'm sorry. I had a wee touch of the dizzies.
Touch of the dizzies. So then they leave the cave, and Ian is like, I knew you would come, Uncle Jamie, but you left it a wee bit late. And I'm like, yeah, you really did, Jamie. Maybe if you had spent less time doing, I don't know, 97 other fucking million things you were doing, it would have been easier. Mm-hmm. Luckily, the cave was just in the backyard.
Mm-hmm.
We're right there. So then he says, we're going to go. We're going to get, I told Fergus to get our shit. The shit's going to be on the ship. We're going to take the ship to somewhere, unclear.
Don't know.
Back to Scotland?
We're gonna take
I don't know.
You're going to get their shit onto the ship so they can take a trip.
Mm-hmm.
To dip. I don't know. So they, all of a sudden, and he's like, but first I must just hold both of you.
And then it's group hug.
Group hug, and then like a really expensive shot that pulls away into the sky for no reason.
Also, let's not discount the
Jesus
fact right
Christ.
now that Claire is having a severe kind of panic moment.
Yeah, I mean, she fucking murdered somebody.
She's standing there. She
murdered
still
somebody she
has
likes.
the machete in her hand.
Yeah, that's
Jamie
heavy.
is spending all this time with Wian. Claire is right behind him, just like, and then he turns around and he's like, it's okay. And then she drops the machete, and then group hug, and then flash to them on a boat, and she's fine, fit as a fucking fiddle, on a
laying
pillow,
on a fuck window.
lounging in a fuck window. And I'm like, I get...
It's one thing to like stab someone. It's one thing to stab someone, which
No,
is also
she-
horrible. But to like,
wait.
mutilate a body like that?
When do
Holy
we see
fuck.
the flashback to the skeleton with Joe Abernathy?
Oh, as she's staring down at her body. Here's another thing. And
Yeah.
granted, I'm not
Jamie,
sure.
speaking about shit, get ready.
I'm not
Oh.
sure that, Julie, would you have put this together? Probably not, huh?
No,
Without the
no.
flashback. So this one, I was like,
I think
oh,
this one
God.
would have been helpful or something. It could have been faster. It could have been
Yes.
just a blink in Claire's mind of like looking at Joe Abernathy and looking down at the skeleton. Like it could have just been faster.
as opposed to like,
let's take this whole scene. Yeah, you didn't have to do that.
So basically, the short version, because there isn't a long version, and there was no reason for it to be so long, is that the skeleton that Claire picked up near the beginning of the season was Geillis's.
Remember when Joe Abernathy came in and like in the 60s, and he had that skeleton that an architologist or anthropologist friend
Lady J
had, and he's like, take a look at these bones, and she's like, oh, so was the head cut off, and he's was broken neck.
It's
And he said, no,
basically-
somebody tried to cut this head off, but didn't get it all the way.
He gives
Oh,
her the bones
wow.
because he
It
wants to
was Geillis's
see
bones.
if she can intuit what happened to the person, because apparently she does that sometimes with her living patients.
Yeah.
She'll be like, I suspect, I don't know if you know this, but I studied medicine with a very gifted dog, and he taught me how to just know when people are sick. So I think maybe it's stomach cancer. But in this case, she picks up the head and says she was
Broken
murdered.
neck?
She was murdered. That's the
Right,
thing that
right.
she says that we don't see. But then at this point, the flashback is of her saying broken neck, and he says, no, somebody tried to cut her head clean off.
but
But
didn't
then
make
she's
it
like,
all the
oh
way.
shit, it was me. I tried to cut her head
Oh
clean off.
my God, that skeleton that I touched in the 60s was Geillis' skeleton.
How did she get that skeleton up
They found it on an
there?
architectural dig, and somebody was consulting with Joe Abernathy because he was
In
a specialist
Boston?
and home to like a zillion Ivy League colleges. That doesn't seem like a stretch to me. Coincidence, yes, and there were too many
I
coincidences
want to
in
make
this
a joke
story.
about a coincidence.
Okay,
There's a lot of coincidences, almost like there should be more coincidence faces.
Nice.
I'm
You
street
really went for it. You went for it though,
you did.
Tim
which I
Gunned it.
appreciate. You did no, you did not Tim Gunn
I
it
didn't
because
Tim
you
Gunn
did
it.
not make it work.
I did not make it work, but
you
I wanted
did go for it though.
I just want to bring Coinface back
No,
because he was the
listen,
best part
you
for
are
us.
about to get
I've seen-
nothing but praise coming up for some pundum that you.
Thank you.
And I wrote down your name every time it happens, so don't worry, it's coming.
Now that we're at the fuck window, this is about the time I showed up.
Yeah, this is about when Janine showed up and watched with us.
I said, Janine, you're just in time, boning in a shipwreck. And he was like, great, I'm in. And just like came in and sat down.
Yeah. But you guys, I have to say that it was a really hard jump for me from Claire.
That's because it was a terrible cut.
Like,
It was
withering
like just a terrible
from
cut.
guilt and fear of just murdering somebody to all of a sudden I'm feeling so good.
Looking good and feeling gorgeous.
It was bad. In fact, it was
Looking bad and feeling badly written.
Thank you. So, I don't know. It's some kind of like talky scene where they're like getting back together and Jamie's about to shave and Claire's like, nah, don't shave it off. I like your stubble on my clit. Basically.
Yeah.
Even though that's not actually what she says, but
The
it's the
implication,
idea.
she's like, it's different. I like it. This does happen in the book, but it's just dirty talk in the book. And it's when they're reunited, and it feels so good. When after she's with the talking coconut.
So they moved the placement of this sex scene into another place because people expect sex scenes.
They do. And the thing why this pissed me off so much is we don't get anything from it. I actually wrote a note for this so that we could remember.
Okay. It was, yes, we heard what you wanted. Here's some fucking.
Yeah, and it doesn't make any sense narratively. It doesn't have any effect emotionally. And in the it's a in the universe. in the it's a pretty hot scene because he's just like washing his sweaty, disgusting body. And she's just standing there in a priest robe, which is the only thing she had to wear in the book because none of Ermenhilda's dresses would fit her because she's a gigantic fat cow whore.
That's so funny because in this one, and we didn't talk about this, the dress was obviously too big for her.
Yes. Anyway, she's just standing there in the priest robe, and she's like, I don't know how it comes up, but he basically starts describing what he wants to do to her as soon as they have a private room and a bed big enough for fucking, because he never ends up in the captain's quarters in the books. There isn't like and also Jamie, why would you want to fuck? Why on earth would you want to fuck on an 18th century ship? You wouldn't, unless you had no other option. So he's like, here's what we're going to do. The first time I get you into a hotel, first I'm taking a bath, and then you're taking a bath, and then we're going to watch some pay cable. After that, here's what I'm going to do. So he starts describing like essentially what he's fantasized about step by step, all the things he's going to do. And it's all conversation and it's much longer. And they cut my favorite part, which is when he starts talking about how, one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to take off your clothes so it's just down to your shaft. I'm sorry. Shaft. So it's just down to your shaft. And then I'm going to suck on your nipples through the cotton until the cotton's all wet and your nipples are hard.
Well, that's a good one.
And she's like, I'm not wearing a shaft. And he's like, oh, okay, that's no problem. We'll still do that step. It'll just be different. Anyway, it's really hot because it's just a conversation. And that's what's so hot about it. And also because it's in a place where it actually makes any fucking sense at all, as opposed to everybody being fucking traumatized. But don't worry, we have a fuck window.
Mm-hmm. We're on a window.
And then there isn't even any good boning.
Hold on, we're getting there. We're getting there.
I want to be really clear about something because you referenced this complaint. The complaint is not just that there was not enough fucking in season 2. It's that it seemed like there could have been fucking and there wasn't. Like there are places where they could have fucked and they didn't. And I understand why. And yes, it was frustrating. And yes, we like the sex. But I respect that Jamie wasn't just constantly putting it to her when he was recovering from a rape. Mm-hmm. And I respect that fucking in a tent on a battlefield when you're surrounded by a bunch of smelly men is not all that sexy. All of that makes sense. When people say not enough sex in Outlander, what they mean is, man, I wish there was more sex in Outlander. Not, please, I'm not going to watch the show anymore unless you put more sex in it, especially not if it's in a place that doesn't make any sense at all.
No, this did not make any sense. So he's about to shave and shave his face. And she's like, no, keep it. I like your beard. It's different. And I'm like, go to Brooklyn, bitch.
On my skin. He's like, oh, you have a lot of very fine skin.
As in, I like it when you eat me out with a beard. And then they go through the whole the dirty talking thing, which is pretty cute. I wouldn't say it was hot. I would say it felt a little, not forced. That's not the right word, but this just wasn't the time for a sex scene. And then he has this line where I'm like, you have the roundest ass I've ever seen. And I'm like, hold my beer.
It's true. She was like, oh, really? Mm-hmm. Here's the thing about Julie. She has a great ass.
And then the only note I have is weak tea on that sex scene.
Yeah. That was weak sexual content.
It was
not strong.
Weak.
It was not strong.
Her nightgown got unbuttoned, then they got
she got on top, which she always does, and then it's over, and then we cut to, and then thunder
fade.
Thunder only happens when it's raining.
And he goes, oh, it looks like there's a storm coming in. Cut to giant fucking storm.
And here's
and Janine actually laughed.
I actually laughed, and then Allison was like, actually, that probably wasn't supposed to be funny. I was like, well, it was
too late. So this is the actual end of that quote that I started earlier. Yes, we heard what you wanted. Here's some fucking. Now back to the the boat. It's like Moby Dick in here, but not that kind of dick. And then the shipwrecks. I don't really have anything to say about that.
Well, you said it was like a Christopher Nolan fight scene, and I think that
it's like Batman in a dark. It's like Batman fight at night.
It's
where
like,
you can't tell who is who, and so you don't give a shit.
There just
Janine
wasn't
said
any
Transformers fight.
Yeah, because they all like focus in on like how they move and tryst and blah blah blah, but you can't see what's happening.
You're not following any one person.
Nope.
There isn't really any you can't track who's in danger. Like the masks start to go, and I think maybe we're supposed to think everyone is in danger, which is accurate. And then there's this hilariously comic scene where everybody is indoors, and Ian and Fergus are both like, "We have to be out there helping," and Claire's like, "No, you don't," and then turns around and leaves. They're like, "Where are you going?" She's like, "I'm a doctor." Well, I know you're a doctor, but wouldn't it probably be better to treat injuries like inside? Because what are you going to be able to fucking do for them on the deck in the middle of the storm? Nothing. What the fuck?
And then we see Jamie is helming the ship, and we all screamed, "Weak seaman shouldn't be piloting the vessel."
Yeah, he only wants strong sailors out there. Then what is that weak seaman doing at the till?
And then we all said, "Oh, ship."
Oh,
cheers.
ship. Cheers.
Oh, ship.
Oh, I'm out. I'll get more. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Gulp.
And then there's a moment where Claire and Jamie are clutching onto the side of the boat together, about to be washed overboard. But they look at each other with true love, and they look up and they see this wave. And then there was another "oh ship," because that wave was big.
Shit. Like that.
Yeah, that was like an interstellar wave.
Mm-hmm.
Interstellar wave all the way.
So then, boosh, Jamie gets knocked to the other side of the boat. Thank God he's got a hard head.
And he gets up and looks around and goes, "Dude, where's my wife?"
And then we see Claire sinking to the bottom of the ocean very softly and Jesusly.
But not really. And also, I have no memory of this because I was fucking unconscious. So this narration doesn't make any sense. Also, I'm saying it was all white. And I think I'm supposed to take from that it's the sail I'm seeing around me. Only it's fucking dark and I'm in the ocean and there's a storm. So I couldn't see shit. And also I'm unconscious. And I'm being dragged underneath by this rope that got tied around me by accident. Because in the book, it's tied around me on purpose to keep me from going overboard. But here, it's tied around me because it happened. Because it wasn't to begin with. And I'm just sinking. And we see this genuinely beautiful shot. Her hair is floating and her face is beautiful because she's beautiful. It's very Ophelia.
Yeah, and then I'm like, so we had enough time to do this shit twice?
Twice. And then again. And then I feel like it went on for 1,000,000 years. Mm-hmm. So she's being dragged to the bottom. It's this far away shot, a beautiful shot. And then into the frame.
What do we see?
A really weak seaman.
But a strong swimmer.
Yeah.
And there he is.
Of course he is. And then he fucking kisses breath back into her.
He cuts the ropes first and he kisses breath. And I'm like, fucking, yes, I know. And whenever I call this a romance novel.
Is this really the time? It's not the time. Here's what happens after you cut your wife free from the giant piece of wood. You swim upwards.
Also, let's just to inject a little bit of reality into the situation, like where she was at and where he was at, as far as like what we saw in that frame, which she is much deeper than what we saw in that frame. Mm-hmm. She was 3 or 4 people down. That means she was like 15 to 20.
And how would he have known?
Yeah, and she was being drugged down by wood. And then when he finally got to her, they somehow showed it as if they paused. Like
and
he was holding it up.
Going down.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
It's fucking hell.
So it's moments like this, and I feel like in this season in particular, because things have had to have been condensed for time purposes.
Condensed milk.
Yes. That I am reminded that even though it doesn't follow all the tropes of a romance novel, it sometimes does use them. And sometimes that's fine and it's funny when you recognize it and it's like, I celebrate this, but also other times it's like, she's dead.
Yeah.
Can we just admit the fact that he could not save her?
Yeah.
No, because he is going to fucking save her every fucking time she gets in trouble.
You know what? In the fucking book, she's dragged overboard and she's unconscious. And he just jumps in and follows her and cuts her loose. And then they're just, and then she wakes up.
So it's not like she's 30 feet underwater.
And there's no this like, da, 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 sing me a song of a guy who can swim and apparently can see underwater.
No, you know what I was thinking of was...
Does it matter that he still has his boots on? Physics don't matter now.
Aquaman.
Allison actually said... Was he fucking Aquaman now?
No, that was Janine that said that.
That was you.
That was me. I was on a roll there.
Yeah. Well, no, this is where your roll starts. Yeah. We're getting there right now.
This is the third best scene in the episode because just listening to Janine make literally the same joke over and over again was better than almost anything else that happened.
The first one was not his joke, but then
it was accidental. It was
his joke. It was accidental joke, and then he took that joke and ran with it. So he pulls her to the surface. Great. They're alive. And then all of a sudden they're floating on a board. It's not like Titanic size board. It's much smaller. So there's no like, will they or won't they dump one of them? It's very small. And they're holding on to it. And I asked the question, where the fuck is this storm? And Janine said, it cleared up. And I said, I'm sorry, did you say it cleared up? And he's like, no, but now I did. It cleared up. And we laughed about it.
Yeah.
We did not know that joke would come back 3 more times.
So there's this shot where it pulls up and up and up. And he says, Sassenach, if you die on me, I'll kill you. Which is not, it didn't work. Like, that only works if it's like something you say in panic or something.
That's what I have here. Well, now they're Titanicing.
Whisper.
You know what would be helpful now in this moment when Claire is knocked out? A doctor. I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah.
So the shot pulls up. Where's the storm? I'm sure. Up. Out of, so that we can see that in the eye of a hurricane, it is quiet for just a moment.
Is that a Hamilton joke?
A yellow sky.
Everybody already on the Sled Channel said that they're like Hamilton crossovers forever in this episode.
I didn't see any of that. She was sick and she was warning me. I didn't. I wrote my way out. Wrote everything down. Hercules Mulligan. There we go. Okay. I wrote my way out. You know what's funny? Hamilton, Scottish.
Oh my God.
Also Caribbean.
There's a whole thing that was happening today about Outlander. Maybe that was on Twitter and I'm old and I don't remember the platforms. Yeah.
Molly Mullen of the gorgeous Colorado beers and the very cute dog said, quote, a bastard orphan, son of a whore, Claire, and a Scotsman, secret Jamie Fraser, dropped in the middle of a forgotten spot in the Caribbean, a Bondaway?
Oh, God.
It's a Hamilton crossover.
Hashtag later. Hashtag it's fine, I'm crazy.
Which is really good.
Oh, man.
Then we wash up on shore. It's just Jamie.
Yeah, by the way, we don't see them survive the second half of the hurricane.
Yeah, we only see them in the drone pull out and we realize they're in the eye of the storm. We're like, oh, there's another half of a hurricane to go. How did they fucking get through that?
Don't worry, guys. This is just like CNN. They only report on it when it's bad.
Like, how did they? Okay,
yeah,
fine.
But you don't understand. This was happening to white people.
I know.
They would have covered it.
They would have covered it.
I know. Fuck my joke, by the way. It was bad.
So all of a sudden, Jamie
good.
washes onto a beach. Great. And I'm like, oh, where's Claire?
And all of a sudden we see this little ding-a-ding-a-ding.
No, not yet.
Bonnet.
Not yet.
Okay.
He washes on shore and I'm like, oh, where's Claire? And Janine says, he's clearly alone. That was the first one. He is clearly alone. Fine. Then the little girl with the stick.
She's like, there's a thing on the ground over there. A Bondaway. And she skips over. And then she's like, I have a stick. There's a man on the ground. I think I'll poke him in the ass. And then he moves and she's like, oh, shit. And she runs away. A Bondaway.
And he wakes up. And, oh, God. So her parents appear out of nowhere. Jamie is alive. And then he looks over and he sees, who does he see? He sees Claire.
He clearly sees her.
He clearly
sees Claire.
And she has also survived. We don't know she's alive yet. She is lifeless. She is very still.
And he goes, oh, Sassenach.
And then I said, she's going to fucking come to life when he kisses her. And then he kissed her. And she came to life. And Janine said, it's like you're clairvoyant.
the best one.
And we all we hit pause. We're like,
Then the parents walk up and they're like making out and staring at each other, and they're like, hi guys. And
you okay?
Where are we? They're like, what
island? What island?
Well, oh no! First they're like, we were. Is there any sign of the ship? Oh, because they both think everybody died, understandably, because it was a fucking
it was
hurricane.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh no, we went on the mud flats and yep, they survived. They're getting stuff right now, and they're all like, oh, whew, great.
That's awesome, by the way. That's great.
And then he says, I'm Jamie Fraser, and this is my wife Claire. This is another in the books thing. I'm sorry, I just have to do it. So this is like the perfect, completely silly example. The reason that they're asking so urgently where they are is because in the book, they know on the islands, people are still looking for them, right? Like because of the charges on Jamie back in Scotland, they're British colonies. There are people, and they're going to be looking for them. So they have to find out where they are before Jamie says what his name is, because they don't know if they have to use a pseudonym. Right?
Oh, well, that was not clear here.
No, because they did it in the fucking
That was
reverse
not
order.
clear here.
It was not
It
clear.
was not clear.
It doesn't.
Well
it just
done.
doesn't. Anyway, so then they're like, I'm Jamie. This is Claire. Where are we? No, like, what island are we on? And they're like, oh, you're not on an island. You're on the mainland.
Yeah.
Which, by the
where?
way, is technically an island because all the continents are islands.
Sort of.
Deep thoughts.
Really big islands.
Yeah, but what if they're just...
Shower thoughts.
Anyway, they're like, I know you're on the mainland,
what
in the
mainland?
colony of Georgia. And Jamie looks at Claire and he's like,
Georgia? And he goes, yes, America. And Janine and I at the same time went, fuck yeah. America. Fuck yeah.
Claire says America, though.
Well,
America. Fuck yeah. Then, and they're looking at this bright new future while their new neighbors, I guess, are like,
are we done here?
Y'all okay?
Do we just need to...
And then
okay, we're going to walk away now. We're just going to walk
into
away.
their dredget. And a drone shot comes out and it zooms into the vast, untamed American wild, like I fucking called like 10 weeks ago. Granted, this was not on the show. Because I guess I might have done it in a book. No, because I couldn't have told you they were going to end up in America. I think you knew anyway, but I wasn't going to tell you when. So in the Slack channel or on Twitter or something, I was like, no, here's how it's going to end. It's going to zoom into the vast American wild. That's what's going to happen. It's going to be like, look at the future. And here's the thing. If I can call the final shot of your season like 10 weeks in advance, and then I'm not pleased when I'm right, you've really fucked up. I am. Don't
You
get me
hurt
wrong.
my feelers.
At this point, I'm relieved, like really relieved that we're just going to be in a place and not fucking taking 97 boats, like all the boats, and then just,
And then the fife and drums start up. And we were all delighted by that.
that was nice.
But then after the episode, we watched
God.
In the World.
I've got another thing to share.
And I got to tell you that the Count of Monte Cristo is a little too smug.
I don't like that guy.
He's a little too
before
smug.
we do anything
I've
else,
never
I want to
liked
make
him.
it clear that I'm sorry. I want to make it clear. That,
Thank you.
I need to make it
I
clear.
need to make it clear. That the reason that I have any grasp at all of nautical terminology is because a couple of weeks ago when we were first on a ship, when we were first
A sea.
at sea, I was feeling very unmoored, adrift.
Oh, yeah.
And the only reason that I was anchored to reality and was able to grab the mast
What?
Oh.
and the boom is because of Mary from Canada.
Oh, yeah, she did tell us a lot of nautical
She
shit.
did. Yeah, she did a great
and
job.
not to be a skank, which totally means I'm going to be, but I never did get my Bodhi shout out after the ocean episode. So here you go, Mary from Canada. Thank you for the nautical terminology and also for just being awesome. So, Mary from Canada, that's for
Also,
you.
you're a skank.
So, anyway, I need to share that, where is it in the show spoilers section? Heather J thinks of facial hair. Where is the other really good facial hair quote? Oh, okay. So two of them. So first, Desta says, anyone else watch the after show part and think, what's his facial hair? Which is great.
Count of Monte Cristo
Was
style.
a little too
County
proud
Monte
of
Cristo.
himself with the I was dead parallel. Don't throw your shoulder out patting your back, man. and then Heather J responds,
That was
Matthew
the-
Roberts thinks a lot of himself. It's annoying. And I have to tell you, all three of them, I was like,
Fucking all three of them
just
in this one.
self-congratulatory after an episode that was not good.
Yeah.
Just like, way to go, me. I'm sorry. Oh, I threw my back out. I'm sorry. Threw my shoulder out, pat myself on the back.
It almost felt like they were just like, maybe if we think it's
I
good.
know you think we don't plan this. We plan it.
If
It
we
was
think-
dead, and then I was dead, and then the bunny, and then the bunny, and then the
And then the
bird, and then the bunny, and the
and the
dancing, and then the dancing. Nailed it. We nailed it. End of thing.
They gotta know that thing was shit. And I think they were
They
like,
have to
They
know.
were like, listen, if
I
we
really
talk,
don't think so.
if we talk in a way that like we feel like it was good.
No. I don't think
It
think
was
any
so
of them
disjointed.
can. Well, first
Who
of all,
wrote it?
notice
Who wrote it?
Matthew B. Roberts
Oh.
with
County Monte Cristo?
Count of Monte
Oh,
Cristo.
that's
so,
why.
Well,
No,
here's
he's
the thing.
written some good ones.
No, wait.
He's written some
Here's
good
the
ones.
way.
That's why we're so pleased with it, though.
Matthew B. Roberts and Tony Graffia, who I think may be the other woman who's on the thing, the woman who's on the thing, although it could just be another writer. I cannot remember her name at the moment. Wrote it together, but he also directed it.
Oh.
And I am fairly certain, let's check, double checking, his directing debut for the show. He was a second unit director for...
Why would they give that to
They
the
gave-
finale
they
to
gave the
somebody who
finale
had
to him?
never directed it?
No wonder.
his first solo directing credit literally ever. He has no credit for another TV show, no film credit.
No.
I'm disgusted. I have to go to the bathroom.
No.
Hold on. We're going to need some yakety sacks. Because I have to eat some yakety snacks. Okay, so here's the thing. I don't actually think it's bad for people who do one thing in film to branch out to another. That's not bad. But a finale? And here's the... I don't know that Outlander thinks I'm dumb, but I'm pretty sure that Matthew fucking Roberts thinks we're dumb. Why aren't we... an episode has never over-explained things like this one did. Not ever, ever. That's what we have previously ons for.
Occasionally there were moments that felt like this, but not repeatedly in the same episode, like the crashing Virgin Mary sculpture or the weird like dragonfly in amber,
Sure,
like that.
but here's
shit.
the thing:
But it wasn't
there is a difference between heavy-handed symbolism,
Right.
and going out of their way to explain
Right.
the heavy-handed symbolism.
exactly.
Right? Like we already got it. It wasn't that hard.
It's only been 3 seasons.
Hold on.
So I mean,
That was me slamming my head into my microphone.
I guess that barring Je suis spoilé or anyway, Patty, I don't really have anything else to say about this episode other than
Let me
that.
check my notes.
I just,
Last thing,
I've been disappointed in this
remove
season.
all stakes from where they land, and then I wrote rage. That's not true. I just felt rage. Okay, scales. We're not going to do season scales because neither of us can actually be objective about the season as a whole right now. So let's start with the costume scale. On a scale of, let's think of things that we were really angry at because we wanted them to be better.
Okay.
The low end, let's say, the 2017 election. That's the low end. 16 election, right?
boy, that seems real high though. That seems like that.
No, I'm saying it's the low end because we have to go really bad.
Okay, so the
So the
worst. The
costuming-
worst is on the bottom as opposed to the best thing that we hated being on the bottom.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So,
These
because
scales are hard.
Yeah,
because the worst thing is at the bottom and the best thing of bad things is at the top.
Okay.
And the theme is things we hated. But we'll do costuming. So the costuming of the 2016 election, bad, really bad. To the costuming of, how about the 30 Rock live episodes?
Oh shit, that is very thoughtful.
Weren't you disappointed in them? I was.
Yeah, I already know my answer right now.
Okay.
The finale of Seinfeld.
Oh.
Perfect answer. So the costuming was up finale of Seinfeld level.
Yeah, because you were so ready for it, and you had invested so much of your life into watching this show for so many years, and then the finale was kind of like womp womp.
Moing.
So basically,
Yeah.
what
The
you're
costuming
saying
was
is
good, but it was just not good enough. It was the series finale was not good enough for the series.
cape dressing gown. That's it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I mean, I guess little girl's costume was good. There just wasn't much of an
No,
opportunity.
nothing. There was no through line on any kind of anything in this episode, including costumes.
Yeah.
I love you, Terry Dresbach, but it's not your fault. It's that we were jumping between things that made no sense.
Didn't make sense.
Like you had a bad director or something.
Yeah.
Shady.
Okay. So now we'll do the doing it quotient. So things that we wanted to like that we actually hated. Let's do.
Eyes Wide Shut.
No, that's divisive.
That is a bad that movie. I'm in the process of trying to understand how that movie turned out.
How about? Oh God, I got to come up with something good. The knowledge that Miller Lite is owned by a Trump supporter. That's the low end. That should be for the beer one. We'll skip to the beer one. Getting up to get a beer.
Okay.
The bottom end is the knowledge that Miller Lite is owned by a Trump supporter. The high end is Roxy Andrews ending up on All Stars 2. And keep in mind that there are upsides because we got. My name is Roxy Andrews and I'm here to make it clear. I know. I'm sorry. My name is Roxy Andrews and I'm here to make it clear. I know you want me, baby. That's why you brought me here. Was it bitch on season 5? I'm here to make it right. Give me a sewing challenge and I'll give you what you like. I'm full of tricks, baby. Just like on Halloween. There's a room full of monsters and it makes me want to scream. I'm trying to do this right. So you don't waste my time. Just like my comedy. Not unlike my comedy. I'm killing on this right. I'm gonna show you what I can do. And everybody who does more Drag Race is very confused now.
What about Katya, though? What was Katya's?
Katya. Katerina Petrovna Zamolodchikova, but your dad just calls me Katya. Yeah. High five. Fucking Katya. That was for you, Dr. J.
I love Katya.
Okay, anyway.
Should have won.
So, things we didn't like.
Between Miller Lite being Trump and Roxy Andrews
on season 5. No, I'm sorry. Showing up on All Stars 2.
Oy vey. I hate both of these things, but I hate Trump more.
So, in terms of going up to get, but we're not rating the things.
Okay.
Getting up to get a beer. Because like Miller Lite, you find out Miller Lite's owned by Trump and you both need a beer and kind of don't want a beer.
I know what it is.
Okay.
It is my relationship to a gift that I use all the time. Never has there ever been a more pure and better eye roll than James Harden. Mm-hmm. But I hate him.
Okay.
I cannot stand him as a basketball player.
But what does that mean in terms of getting up to get a drink?
That means that I did not get up to get a drink during this episode. I just didn't. But that's because I was enjoying hating it.
Okay. Oh, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
That's good.
So I use that gif all the time because it is pure and perfect, but I do not appreciate that basketball player.
Okay. Now we're going to do the doing scale.
I like that gifs have made it into the movie scale.
Boner City.
Just ideas have made it into the scale. We're branching out.
Are we? Okay. Mm-hmm. So last one. So
we're
the
growing.
doing it scale. Mm-hmm. So from like, if it's 0 doing it to lots of doing it, things we hate. All right. 0 doing it. Ken Burns baseball.
Always.
I mean, yeah.
Lots of doing it, things we hate.
Porn.
There's feminist porn out there.
Okay, fine.
How about Jude Law cheating on all of his part? That's not high stakes enough.
No.
How about the Amazons and Justice League all having revealing costumes?
Barf. Okay. For me, the doing it was like, it was so close. It was almost there. And then it was nothing.
Weak sexual content.
Like,
weak.
They told me strong. They promised strong. And it was kind of weak. The chat was cool. It was like moonlighting.
It didn't come through.
Moonlighting, the entire series of Moonlighting, because Bruce Willis and Sybil Shepherd were so good at the talking. Also, Cheers. You could probably do early Cheers with Shelley Long and Ted Danson.
That's perfect. You want to know why?
Mm-hmm.
Because you want to like it, but intellectually, you know, it's like really deeply damaging because it's basically just sexual harassment and abusive and super messed up.
Exactly.
And this is like, you want to like it,
Moonlighting
but
too.
it doesn't make any sense
Right.
where it is.
Mm-hmm.
You want to like it, but it doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when they tried to convince us that Jinx Monsoon and Ivy Winters were going to have a relationship on RuPaul's Drag Race. It's like that.
So
It's like when they tried to set up Izzy and George. Nailed it. All right. And the last thing, this one is going to be so easy. Who's your golden pamplemousse of the week?
Lord John Gray, Coinface forever.
Yeah, Coinface.
Yeah, that coincidence is
Coinface
great.
with a bullet.
Did you just hear what he just said?
What'd you say?
That coincidence was really great.
Janine, are you drinking like 5-hour energy today?
I'm sorry. Well, runner up for the golden pamplemousse.
Also, you have to realize I sit here quietly thinking of that. So like I've been stewing on that one for fucking 30 minutes.
Yes. That was very good. Is it just a coincidence? Oh my God. Yes, but it was 100% David Berry.
He sounded like he was the best.
Because it's very hard to walk that fine line between shady and burn and to exhibit both. And he did.
To get a sunburn in the shade like that is real solid.
Tough.
Actually, it's not difficult to do at all. The UV rays, man.
Okay.
That's what they tell you. Anyway, so we've got a couple really quick questions before we go to spoil. Actually, that one can be in spoiler section. Let me just make sure there's nothing here.
What's up, baby? Come here, Sophie.
Yeah. Anyone else think, what beard? I'm sorry, a beard is not, a stubble is not a beard.
No. Also, it feels like maybe Sam Hewen is a person like me that doesn't grow a lot of extraneous hair.
Because remember that beard?
Yeah. It
Remember
was
that
horrible.
beard? Have a holly jolly Hewen.
It was so
It
bad.
was so bad. Even credits here. He just died of shame when he
He
saw
was
that
like,
beard.
I see your beard. Ugh.
Okay. So we're going to do a little Je suis spoiler. But first we have to, Sophie, did you one up?
Sophie was just like, yeah.
Get it.
Come on, Sophie.
Yeah, there you go. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
You're just a thoroughfare.
Okay. Whatever.
Bitch.
So thanks for listening. Sorry we were so pissed. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/podlandercast. You can find us on Twitter at podlandercast. You can find us on Instagram through me, although I don't think we'll be doing any live things for a while because there won't be new episodes to watch. Maybe we'll do one every once in a while. Anyway, that's at Allison Shu. You can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/podlanderdrunkcast. At this point, I need to let you know Patreon has done a
my
thing.
cat off.
Patreon has done a thing where their fee structure has changed, and I have to admit I don't totally understand it because it is the single busiest time of the year for people who write about film and TV, so I'm basically going insane. But if this fee thing makes it financially infeasible for you to donate to the show anymore, but you still want to donate in a way that doesn't involve paying their crazy fee, send us an email at podlanderdrunkcast@gmail.com and we will figure something out. I don't know why, but I don't know how, but we will make sure you still get perks and shit. And thank you to everybody who supports. But in particular, we need to thank a few of our most generous patrons: Jenna Polkowski, Dr. J, Lori McGuire, Yvonne Kaiser, Ann Gavin, Katie Kirshner. Hi, Katie. Thanks for hanging out with us last week. Amanda Newton, Beth Locke, Kelly Sheehan, Jessica Dobrovich, Aaron Yutzi, Molly Layton, Heather Moore, Ruth McCormick, Trish McCrary. Trish, thank you again for the delicious beer
my God.
and the
So
snacks.
good.
I'm
Really made our
I'm
week.
drinking the coconut Hefeweizen right now, and it's delicious.
Yes.
That citrus one was real good. Thank you so
it's
much.
really, really good.
Yeah.
Catherine Galindo, Kiki the Wise, Flourish Root, Friday Payton, Jan Lander Drunklin, and Kathleen Moniz, as well as the rest of you.
I know.
If you have anything to add, you can reach us at podlanderdrunkcast@gmail.com. Send us questions, thoughts, whatever. If you're in our Slack channel, which you can get by donating to Patreon, you can also send us questions that way. We'll be doing a bunch of mailbags coming up because no more Outlander for a while. And I hate to tell you that at the moment, I don't care.
Snap, bitch.
Oh,
Sorry, I really don't.
That is rough.
We're gonna do a little spoiler talk because I don't even know what fucking spoiler thing we're gonna talk about. Anyway, this would be the part where if you don't want to hear spoilers, go away. We love you guys. Live show next week. If you're in Chicago, please come. December 17th, Empirical Brewery, 11 a.m. If you're not in Chicago, whatever. The world is burning. Buy a plane ticket. Live life as the fullest. Walk into the fire. Walk into the fire. Get to Chicago. We'll buy you a beer.
I'm trying very hard to make sure that it's a live show on Facebook or YouTube. Mm-hmm. So if you want to follow us and actually listen to it at the time,
once we figure out how we're doing that, we'll post about it. But
I'm giving
seriously,
you 70% chance of that happening.
I totally get whatever. JetBlue, bitch. Find Spirit fucking Airlines. Find a $60 flight. Fly in from wherever you are. Spend a day with us. Get back on the plane. They won't care if you're kind of drunk as long as you don't try to fly the plane. And then it's a little crazy ex-girlfriend joke for some people. And then we'll all hang out. Anyway, stop listening now if you don't want to hear shit. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. God, I don't even know what to talk about. Let's start with this. Let's start with a question from Tina and another from Meredith. Tina, sorry if I missed the cutoff for questions. You didn't. Allison, as a book reader, I'd love to know if you feel differently about seeing certain questionable storylines on the TV show as opposed to how you felt about them when you originally read the books. I think they did a much better job with Etienne Show than the book did. I think they did a much worse job with literally everything having anything to do with slavery, and that is saying something because the books made me uncomfy. I thought they had a lot of promise. They cut some things, which is great, but now I'm starting to think they cut for time because they obviously didn't give a damn about anything else. Question from Meredith. So the important question is, will there be more boning in season 4? The answer is sort of. There's there's a scene where Claire, without going into the specific context, because that would be a big spoiler, where Claire and Jamie are in a giant wood by themselves talking about their future. Like no one is there. Untamed wild. Not close to any humans. And Jamie just takes off all his fucking clothes. And Claire's like, what are you doing? He's like, there aren't any other human beings around. There's no reason for us to not be totally fucking naked. Let's just be Adam. Let's just Adam and Eve this bitch. So they do.
Yes.
And they lay down in a patch
You know what? America! Fuck yeah!
So they fuck in a patch of wild strawberries.
Jeez, cool.
I imagine
Might be
it's
a little
very
bit
juicy.
It's probably pretty juicy and a little bit stabby.
Maybe, but
I think they're a little bit like.
They got pricklies.
Well, we know Claire likes a
pricklies.
little pain.
You know,
Yeah, but
if
you
she
don't want
did
those
like
fucking
And pleasure.
you don't
fake
want-
ass
You don't
beard.
want fucking needles in your fucking.
Oh, you know what? She might have little flashbacks to those ants.
Ooh, ants.
Okay, so spoilery shit. I'm glad they landed in Georgia, which happens in the book. But they also land in Georgia with Claire having a broken leg because unlike here, there are actually consequences to the fact that she gets sucked into the ocean. She's also basically naked when they land because Jamie has to cut all of her heavy clothes off to keep her from going underwater because she's being
she
dragged
loses
down.
the batsuit.
Oh, yeah. Well, the batsuit doesn't exist in the books. Remember, it's the...
Right. That was
So it's just
right.
other clothes. She's just wearing other clothes. He has to cut them away. However, they do lose the photos because Jamie also loses his coat and shit. So they lose all the photos of... they lose the photos of Bree and the little painting of William.
Mhm.
I assume medical shit also goes bye-bye. In the next book, Claire starts to, or maybe it's the book after, regardless, soon, Claire starts trying to make her own penicillin by growing mold on shit and trying to find the blue stuff. It's pretty cool.
What is this? Sliders? Deep cut.
I think it's important to note that they work in, that Fergus was going to go get Hayes and Reynolds. Was that
Leslie.
his name?
Leslie. Oh my God.
I don't know how
It's like
I'm
you
the one who
just
knows
know
this.
that one thing.
That's the only thing I know about the show.
Oh, so she's
And
taking
Claire
a dump.
puns. Yeah. Take a look.
She's looking at me.
And you know the sound she's hearing in her ears, in her poor deaf ears right now? She's hearing,
Yep.
good job, kitty.
That
Let's
was
see what else.
definitely a pee-pee, not
I
a
mean,
poo-poo.
Geillis totally gets mostly decapitated. That really happens, except for it's an axe, not a machete. And I think she had it with her. It's explained why it's there. The gemstones. That's what I wanted to talk about. So Julie, I guess we must have talked about this at some point in the course of the episode, or maybe while we were watching the episode, said, well, you need the gemstones to travel. That idea is introduced in this book by Geillis. Geillis believes, and maybe it was in her grimoire, like maybe it was mentioned earlier. Was it mentioned earlier?
I think it was.
Okay. The whole reason that she is collecting the gemstones is so that she can travel. And there are certain kinds of gemstones that are better than others. There wasn't any shit. You don't need 3 blue sapphires to do the prophecy. She was still trying to fulfill the prophecy or whatever, but it was just basically genealogy.
Mm-hmm.
Like it wasn't, there was a genealogical chart or something in, and also that bird was around for the murder. I don't know. It's a lot, but the gemstones. So those gemstones that Ian took become really important because as you might guess, eventually maybe someone might have a need to time travel again. And also they don't have any fucking money. They don't have any money.
Will there be possibly a resurgence of a certain French apothecary traveler named Monsieur Raymond?
No, not yet.
Damn it.
I wish. I mean, who knows? The show might work him back in. I would love that. And there are books still to come, so it is totally possible.
Are there more dick rocks?
Yes.
God, good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is Brianna capable of traveling through time?
I think we already knew that. Because I think they
she
can
already
hear.
It's genetic.
Well, I mean, in utero. Yeah.
Yeah, she did as a baby, so obviously she cool, right?
Well, I guess it depends on whether.
Well, that'd be crazy if she couldn't in utero. Oh, gosh.
I know, and then Claire just would have died because there would have been a
We talked
fetus-sized
about that.
hole.
Oh,
And
yeah,
we
I do
talked
remember
about
that.
that.
Yeah.
Well, because we talked about the time traveler's wife.
Jesus. Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
God. Damn it. Now I'm resurfacing that entire date that I had. Ah, damn it.
Sorry, bro.
It was my pet choices.
Well, I won't say who may or may not time travel, but eventually there will be need for more stones. Here, though, they're taking the stones because they don't have any fucking money. So Ian, in his infinite wisdom, is like, I have to get the fuck out of this cave right now, but hold on really quick.
Hold on, let me pick these up.
And off they go. So that's the money they have, which will become important later. God, I don't fucking know. I don't want to talk about anything.
It's fine.
That's fine, man.
How are we going to do it anyway, Patty?
Well,
I know what I could talk about for an anyway, Patty. And it's weirdly thematically linked to this week's episode.
What is it?
It's about the deprivation tank.
Oh.
well, I have things I can contribute to that, too.
Mm-hmm.
Self-care.
Not really. It was more of the image. I'll
We'll get
save
to
it
it.
for anyway, Patty.
I was trying to find a theme that would be more than this is what I did last night.
No,
I could connect to it.
I will. That will become apparent when I talk about it.
Okay, well,
Mhm.
So the next,
guys,
good.
we're gonna. I'm sorry, this was such a weak spoiler section, but I'm feeling
It was
very
a weak
dispirited.
fucking episode.
Well, I'm a weak fucking seaman.
You're Jamie?
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.